there needs to be an introduction of a new currency or a introduction of, an economy breaking. This is where that new currency is basically made, and this is why you're seeing so much information in regards to CBDCs that are coming and rolling out. And it honestly, when you guys actually look at some of the stuff, and I implore you to look at some of this as well, it's going to make you sick. Just the amount of money that they are sitting there and hiding, that your hard-earned money and everything, and it's sickening. It truly is. To start things off, I'm going to go over the first thing that needs to be ran through is your updated derivatives list. If you guys want to pull this up, this is your rankings of the new derivatives that are going on right now. Your derivatives basket is, you still got the four main players that are in this list, but some subtle differences. JP Morgan is now at 60 trillion, 654 billion. You got Goldman Sachs with 57 trillion, 258 billion. Citibank, 55 trillion, 530. Bank of America with 22 trillion, 860 billion. And Wells Fargo, before was ranked number 9, now moves to number 5 with $13 trillion in derivatives right now, which I don't understand why. It's kind of asinine to me, but they're just as criminal as everyone else. But what's got me really thinking about this and trying to understand where the majority of the money is being held and where they're putting it, because if you look at the Grand Treasury account, if you look at all these other accounts that our Federal Reserve, our Treasury, they all have, none of this equals any type of amount. And then you have to coincide this with when specifically starting on the meme baskets, on when everything started to get hammered down and hammered down and hammered down. And that is your federal home loan banks and when it started. When the federal home loan banks and when this actually started happening from a actual graph standpoint is Q3 of 2021. At the time, we were trading roughly around $30 to $35, roughly around them. And then they just started hammering this in every which way. Well, the interesting thing about it is that from Q3 of 21 and then bringing it up currently up until now, you went from being at 685 now all the way to basically 1.6 billion. The problem is if you're looking at that chart from when this started, this is measured in millions. So if you take out a calculator and you go 1.6 billion to 1 billion or 1,576,000,000, it comes out to about $14 quadrillion that is sitting in the federal home loan banks. This entire system is derived of your federal home loans. These are your FHA, your VA, your USDA loans. This is also the market that actually props up your mortgage-backed security bonds. So they have a collateral to go along with your federal home loan banks. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, well, it's just another bank that the Fed uses. Well, no. There's 12 of these banks. These 12 banks are governed by our good friends at the SEC. Every time that you wanted to go ahead and basically, you think you're paying money. You think you're going ahead and you're putting in options. You think you're going ahead and you're playing options. You think you're going ahead and putting money into the stock. Well, your money's being put into here. This is where they're holding every dollar, every cent, everything that they could possibly have for their collateral. Now, how did I come up with this? Well, if you go into just the first record of I took this from the Fiji website and I brought it into an Excel format. On this Excel format is broken down into every single category, every single date, time, purchase, and it also breaks down your options on specific dates on when everything was ran up and put back down. Say your puts, your calls, it has specific dates of specific run-ups. It has also specific dates of your wrapped tokens, your tokenized shares, your everything. It breaks down everything and puts it into a CUSIP number. All those CUSIPs that you are basically seeing are your Fiji numbers. Everything from start to finish, and all of the collateral that you guys have been paying on and that you've been putting your money into is all being held into your federal home loan banks. You go ahead and you look at like the Grand Treasury account. The Grand Treasury account only has 400 billion sitting in it, and that's only from your treasury bills that have been going out at a 5.25% interest rate as of right now. And that's off of a 6-month treasury. All of these, it's broken down individually. You can go ahead and easily search this. It's all on there. You can see calls from August 9th. You can see calls from July 19th. You can see puts from July 19th. You can see everything from start to finish on what they did, how they counteracted it, and it's all there. Every little bit, from your tokens to your wrap tokens to your puts, your calls, married divorce puts, calls marked as longs, all of it. The Fiji website has more to it than just creation of CUSIPs. Now, they've also done it with our preferred equity as well. It's all in there from start to finish. And when you add up the amount of all of these put in together, so I did 100 per page. There's 2,890 pages. Each individual CUSIP. Go ahead, Fafa. You don't have, you could just ask.
No, I just wanted to make sure that people are aware of what you're just bringing up is when we discussed this, we were looking at the actual pages and don't think that there was just 6 or 7 different CUSIPs. There was multiple CUSIPs for multiple items, all the way dating back to even the tokenizing to the tokens on FTX to everything that was created that has its ties to AMC. If you look at the Fiji site, you can clearly see that they are all different numbers. A couple of them are put together because they're based off ETFs, but most of them are all different. Every CUSIP has its unique characteristic. And yeah, what did we come up with? We think it was, what was it?
16 quadrillion.
Total CUSIPs? How many CUSIPs did we think? How many, yeah.
Hold on.
What was it? 28,000?
Yeah.
I think it was.
So it's 100 per page times 2,889.
Yeah, so
88,900 CUSIPs.
So imagine that, guys. I'm going to let James keep going, but I just wanted you guys to get the relevancy of that high number. Phil, for real, had been talking about this, and it's kind of like the other piece that we were kind of missing. So let's kind of fathom that at this point. 280,000 CUSIPs.
288,000.
Yeah, I was just giving the ballpark figure, but
Yeah.
you get the point.
Yeah. So these CUSIPs are not just, like I said, these CUSIPs are not just, you know, these are also ABRs. They're your BDRs. They are your options chains. They are calls. They are puts. They are tokens. They are wraps tokens. They are ETFs. They are everything that you could possibly imagine that they could put in, they did. Now, there's a history of this, which is very interesting to me. But anytime that there was any type of economic turmoil, so you can go to 2008, you can go to the dot-com bubble, you can go to back into the 70s, like 40 years ago when we got off of the gold-backed standard. Every single time that there was any type of economic turmoil, they introduced a new type of currency every single time, whether it was fiat, getting rid of the gold back standard, a cryptocurrency, a new type of stock or ETF or bond. There's something new that was introduced during this period of time to try and get your eyes off of what they're trying to do. It is honestly sickening to me that your hard-earned money that you pay, that you keep on thinking is going into a stock market, it is really not. And how I came from this was actually interesting. It was actually off of Travis. Travis was sitting there and calling the New York Stock Exchange, and he asked a simple question. He was just like, okay, hey, I have clients that basically put in an order and I don't see it popping up. Like, where's this order going? And well, if it's made on margin, it's possible that the order didn't get made in between bell times. But if it was made in cash, that order needs to pop up somewhere. And sure as hell, here's where it's popping up. And here's where it keeps on coming is all these different QSIP numbers and all these different changes in these QSIPs. And I'm curious as to why it's doing that. Well, they need to hold their collateral. They need to be able to hold the money in somewhere where they cannot get actually margin. And there has to be some sort of government body that is protecting them from doing this. And here's your SEC. And this is why the federal home loan banks are so crucial to all this, is because it's only governed by the SEC. They're the ones that are actually able to go ahead and actually say, hey, you know what? Okay, here, put it in here. We'll make sure this doesn't get out. We'll make sure that if you have any problems, you have any issues, we'll govern that. We'll make sure that it's swept under the rug. You don't have to worry about this, because they don't know what to do. There's a reason why our stock has been trading for so long, just completely sideways for months on end, because they've dug themselves in a goddamn hole that they can't get out of. They can't. You're looking at one option, and that's jail for most of these players. You hear all the time the theory that, oh yeah, the first person that gets out may survive. Oh no. Remember, this is a fraternity. This is a boys club. This is everybody together. If one person fails, you are not succeeding. And it is just absolutely asinine for what they're doing. So as you keep on going through, you can go ahead and you can see yourself that there's so many things besides just, crypto, these wrap securities, all these other different entities that are just putting money into you. You just keep on putting your money. They're just going to keep on creating. They're just going to keep on creating, and it it's just asinine and it's sickening to me. It really is, and it makes me want to throw up. Fafa, what do you think?
Well, one of the things that when we were discussing this actually on a call, but 2 weeks, a week and a half ago, I can't remember now anymore. But we were talking about this with another person and just trying to pick each other's brains. And so I had done some DD a long time ago, and I know that this was something that was really near to me because I saw what was going on back in March of 2022 when we were actually making our run to 34. And I mentioned this to the guys and said that, I actually saw that we actually had that low halt and there's a reason. And I actually did some digging. And when I did the digging, I posted it back up to the top, an article that was actually everything that I had said back in November of last year. And I said, this halt seemed a little suspicious. And I did digging on there was a wrapped AMC, okay, which was backed by Luna coin. And back in the early part of March, that coin was trading at $45. And when we had the low halt, they had used it and suppressed the price of AMC, and that wrapped AMC dropped down all the way down to about like 85 cents before the Luna got depegged in the beginning of May before we were down back to $9 by that time. And we were talking about this and when he brought up the Figgy site, it really made sense because of all those cusps. If you look at it again, you'll see that there's wrapped coin for AMC that has a cusp number, but it doesn't say any actual information or value, but it does say that there is one. If you look at, which one is it? It's the third from the left, and you'll see some screenshots of things like the wrapped AMC that's tied through the Ethereum system. And the actual second picture is the FTX wrapped AMC coin, which we've been talking about. How is FTX included? Well, that article actually was to the point of everything I was actually saying, that it was used to manipulate the stock price, but they were trying to say that it was supposed to be backed one for one, but never was. So what they were doing is throwing that in the swap system, which is going to go through the actual home loan system, which is what James is talking about. So we found where the money's being hidden, and we found the type of manipulation they're using, those tokenized, one for one back stocks, the wrapped stocks that, they have, the wrapped coins that are tied to failing other coins like Luna is a perfect example because it went from 119 down to merely nothing, And when we were talking about this, it's like there was the connection. We see now how they're doing this. They're hiding the money and they're using it in a way. And this is something I didn't actually say, James, but I'm saying it now. This is the way they were able to utilize the actual dark market, dark pools, not just for institution, but for a way for them to hide the money value, because they were using the dark pools in order to hide that money through the actual home loan bank system, because they don't have to recognize the monetary value there. But yet they're going to buy it, then sell it on the lit market in order to drop the price. That's the way that the low halt actually worked as well, because they were using it through the swaps and derivatives in order to keep the bonds low, which drops the price. So, I mean, these are things that we were starting to uncover. We found the backing and the proof of where the manipulation starts. And like you said, the SEC is the watchdog of that program, those banks. So no one else gets their hands in it. No one else can see what's going on. But we found through the multiple cusps and the height of the actual bank with holdings currently, that right there is the only way. They're taking our money, hiding it in that, and then doing whatever they can to manipulate the price to keep that money in their pockets. So there's so much more that we're going to probably talk about today, but that's just a summarization of everything that we've talked about to the point of what we're speaking on now. We have probably a lot more to bring out in a little while, but let me give one more piece of information. Why was FTX, I'll say Binance, KuCoin, Coinbase, able to utilize a wrap system? I've said this almost 2 years ago, well, a year and 8 months ago, I think it was, when we found out that FTX was collapsing. I did digging on the players of FTX and found multiple ties to Citadel. One of them, if you remember, was Brett Harrison. Brett Harrison used to work at Citadel, moved on to FTX as the CEO, I believe it was. I also came up with, I think his name is Dave Leung. Dave Leung used to be a Citadel. Basically, he used to be a stock guru. Moved from there, moved over to a company called Cumberland Global, and helped start the what is it? The Solana network, and the Tether was actually part of that. And he got money. Where did he get it? Well, he got it from Alameda Research. So you can kind of see the ties that they've had all together. And if anybody knows where Luna actually started, Luna literally started from Do Kwon, who was a Citadel employee while he was creating it. So why do you think they were able to utilize that to drop the price in AMC? GameStop is also involved. There's others, I believe BBBY was, and some other meme stocks were heavily influenced through the whole wrapped market or the tokenizing on or tokens on FTX. I know that Tesla was actually on that as well, amongst others. But the ties are very significant because it's a way for them to pull the money, use it to their advantage, hide where the money's at, keep themselves from getting margin called, and squash, just destroying the price on, companies that retail especially love. So, kind of a background.
These are the identifiers that basically for your ABRs, your BDRs, your wrap tokens, your options is what these are. So you understand that. It's a unique identifier, which is the definition of a CUSIP number, but these are the identifiers for these particular things that are being traded on the open markets. And this is what they are using to go ahead and short your price. These are what they're using to go ahead and actually use against your options. Because if you go just to the sheets of where I exported about 5,000 of these, you can go ahead and you can see where I made specific dates. I implore all of you to actually go ahead and actually export it into a Excel file, just because it will show you specific dates on when these were used during options chains specifically. And it's from the start of this, which was the start of Q3, you will see August 19th calls, August 19th puts. Here is your going ahead and making of this Fiji number for their unique identifier for the options. Same thing as it keeps on going down. It gives specific dates, it gives specific times, and when these were used. Each one of them can be as much as an entire float. It can be. I don't know how many were specific on those options during that time because it doesn't give me the quantity, but it'll tell you exactly what it was used for, when it was used, how it was used, and where it's going to benefit only one side, which is theirs. It is asinine that because for every type of inquiry, every type of purchase that you have to make, there has to be an opposite action to that. And that's where they're putting their money. All their money is hit up into this. And as you keep on going through, you'll be able to see where all these tokens are, where all these wrapped tokens are. It shows it all. And I'm sorry, it makes me sick. It really does. For the amount of money that everybody that's in this that is done, that's put into this stock, into everything, to know that your money is just being parked. Because why would they park all your trades? Why is it from an individual daily basis that you don't see any trades when you purchase a stock on your bid and ask? You don't see it until after hours, maybe a couple, 3, 4, 5 that actually go in, and they're in large clumps. Why? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me. But this is just absolutely asinine to me that you have all of this on here.
Hey, James, could you do me a favor? Is there a way that you could do a quick search on a date for me?
Yeah.
So on that, would you be able to check on 3/29/22? I want to see if there's any major transactions. The reason being is because I remember us kind of talking a little bit about the day that we had the lulled halt. We hit 34. That happens to be the date, and the reason why I want to bring it up is I want people to hear what happened that day. It could be the 28th, it could be the 30th, but right around that time period. So right around that time, like I was saying, so wrapped AMC backed by Luna was $45. And that's the day we hit 34. And then right after that, we see them drop in the price using that and dropped the wrapped AMC down significantly within the first 24 hours. What happened that right around that time period, James?
Hold on one sec. Hold on one second. I'm looking through this right now.
It's all right. Because at that moment, it was the time that we dropped from 34, got halted, and went back down to, I think it was back to like 26 or something like that, all within the day, or 24, all within that same day. Because if you look at if you go to your charts and you look at the actual day candle for that day, it doesn't look like it goes any higher than like 24 or $26. But if you look at the 4-hour chart, you'll actually see that we hit 34 because that was the day we had that lull halt. Just a second, man.
Go ahead, Matt. I'm looking.
Now, I just wanted to add around that same time that you're talking about the Luna tether DPEG. It was also in theory at that time that they were using currency bond swaps as swap collateral for their shorts to move investment swap values overseas. And to do that, they were using Lunar Tether and crypto because it was a cheaper way to move large sums internationally and instantaneously. So it's kind of curious that you bring that up when you connect that with the Luna peg and then tether and then the currency bond swaps, then the currency or the bond swap currency crash soon after, along with everything.
And actually, it's good you bring that up because there is something that me and James and another guy talked about right after what we're talking about, and it was dealing with the transfer of where this money's going and how they're hiding it. Because not only is it being used through the banks, but there's a way that they're actually hiding it by transferring it a particular way, which I think we'll get into in a little bit, right, James?
Yeah, we should. AMC 91-20315.
And what was the what is that all it says?
Yeah, that's all it's telling me.
Okay, so there was basically a major transaction through a CUSIP at that point.
Not it. Well, a Fiji number, which is basically the unique identifier for the individual trade. Yes.
So you notice that they're actually on that day they used something to swap through in order to drop the price.
Same thing on 3-1 as well. 3-1 I'm sorry, 3 of 14.
So every time that we've actually had some type of major halt or major price drop, you're probably going to see some high volume on this transfer to push it down.
Correct.
So does that guy get your guys' thought process going a little bit?
Is money? I mean, it's just continuing to go ahead and just, it's just making me sick, to be perfectly honest with
While
you.
we're connecting dots, because you brought up March, and then I got to thinking with the lunar and the currency swaps and the bond swaps and how they were using crypto to facilitate that. And if you think about FTX from a contract value from March to expiration in 6 months,
Is
would
it me
be
or is Matt roboting?
oh, it's me.
Matt, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
I was thinking about because you were bringing up March as being the time frame for that lunar
I'll be
spot
right back. If you can't hear
here,
me, I think I just roboted.
and
I can hear you just fine, Fafa, but go ahead.
when you think of it from a contract value with the timing of the bonds, currency swaps, and using crypto as international swaps, and lunar uh, tether being tied for the account values from a contract perspective on a 6 month contract, that would put you around November when the first realization that FTX was in trouble.
It's funny how things line up and match. It's funny how all of it basically matches up with specific timelines and traits of when certain things went down. And all it is that now everybody can look, everybody can see. That's the most important thing. Is for all of you to be able to know what the hell is going on. It just doesn't make.
You could throw another timeline in there because if you take that to November and you had another 4 to 6 months, or yeah, another 6 months to that 6 months, you got your year contracts, and that's when the banks started filling.
It's just everything that keeps on adding up into the federal home loan banks is what is just absolutely crazy to me. Is that all this money is just being hidden in one particular area, and I don't understand why at all. I still don't understand why it would be hidden there. There's no reason for it to be hidden there. There's 12 of those banks, and why is it that, I mean, the SEC does nothing as is right now. Why are they the ones that are governing that one bank? And why would that all this money just all of a sudden just be put into this one bank? I mean, Matt, Fafa, do you have an idea of how or why?
Sorry, ask that question again.
Would you have any?
All got to consolidate somewhere.
Yeah, I know
It's called capitulation.
it's got to go somewhere. I mean, the money has to go somewhere. I want to know why. Why would they put it into that one bank? That's what doesn't make sense to me. Because there's no reason for the SEC to be managing, governing any type of Federal Home Loan Bank.
It wouldn't make sense.
Now, when you think about that, isn't that the easiest avenue for tax liquidity relief against rising U.S. debt?
Well, yeah. Yeah, but why would that even matter? Why would that even matter? To be perfectly honest,
How many people actually looked at that avenue though to find it? So it was probably the safest place to have the least amount of exposure and try to contain it.
Well, if you look at the REITs, James, that's where it's all cash. It's liquidity. It is cash liquidity. Like I've been saying, when you pay, like, say, $1,000 house payment and only $100 goes to principal, they take that other $900 and they invest it in the REITs on their own. And so that's most likely where they're stealing that money from.
it's just like I said, it's just sickening. I just have to say his name. What up, Big Doug? Hey guys, the other thing you need to consider is don't forget that home loan debt is one of the most oversold things in the market. That debt trades hands left and right, and nobody would look twice at that. True.
Actually, is that higher than the insurance value against the loss against that debt?
Most of the time, yeah. Because just the insurance bonds alone, they're getting killed from a daily basis because the values are just going nowhere.
Well, I remember.
As is the 20-year.
Yeah, I remember reading a documentation through the federal mortgage-backed loan system, and there's actually holding more debt securities under insurance LLCs than they are real estate banks.
Yeah. Let me just throw up in my mouth a couple more times. It's just. I hate feeling sick because it is just one of those things where it's just you can't really come up with anything that basically, yeah, it's just sickening. Go ahead, the one.
Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead,
All
man.
right. Listen. I'm not trying to derail your space here, but I just got to put a shout out right now to an ape that came through. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but there's a video. I don't even know if you talked about stars is up and down, but I got to give my man Zeus a credit. Hot dog water
I
was
know.
going to drink
Yep.
if this happened, and we all came out, and I said, "Come on, big man, let's go." And he put the video out there. I almost threw up about 9 times watching the first 7 seconds of it. But kudos to you, brother. I had to come up and just say that. I got to give you props for that. That's good shit. So that's what the community's about, bringing it all back in together. Drinking hot dog water that's above the rest. That is yeah. Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry, but anyway, thank you very much for holding the space and giving us this good information. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's sickening to me that they're going to sit there and continuously going ahead and just make up new entity after new trade after new option after new all of it. It just disgusts me in every which way, shape, and form that our hard-earned money is being paid into a stock that's supposed to be traded at a certain it's supposed to be traded a certain way, and it's supposed to be going to where it's supposed to be going, and instead it's not. It's just going into these baskets. It's going into these anything that they possibly can to suppress you. There's no way. It's basically making sure that you don't win, and it's
Well,
all.
You're
let's
making
break.
this sound like a new subject.
It's not
No,
really
but
a new subject, but it's just the proof of where it's being going.
so like with that, let's break down a little bit more there, James. So on the research we did, where does the money go first before it hits the bank? You remember the actual connections? Because I remember. It's interesting, guys. So our money goes to those who are literally, we'll send the money, to our broker, right? The money from the broker goes to a counterparty. It gets shipped through a particular place. It gets processed and then straight into this fund. So when we did the research, James, who is usually the first country to receive the money?
Well, based upon this, usually it's going into an off market. It could go into millions of different markets. Hold on, let me just pull it up real quick.
When we discussed it, one of the main ones was in South America
One was
and
South America.
also
One was
and
South
Bahamas.
America. One was South America. The other one, hold on.
I think Bahamas was another one.
Bahamas. Hold on. Where else?
So as he's looking it up, so one of the things we found was that it was like I think Brazil was the first one. And if you guys remember,
Argentina, Euro market. Here's an Asian market. UB, UX, UQ, US, UJ, US. I believe UGE is Uganda. Hold on. Where else?
so consider as he's looking at that, where has Ken Griffin gone? We know he's gone to Uganda. We know he's gone to Europe. He's gone to Russia. He's gone to multiple places.
Yeah,
But one of the ones that popped up, sorry, the one.
He's going to places. I think we're looking at the whole wrong thing here, and I think what we need to do, and I always say the bigger picture here, we're trying to fight a system that's been against us and been in place for decades, more than 100 years. Okay, even longer than that, since the beginning of time. That's number one. As a collective, as a group, we see how powerful that we are. We need to figure out which smaller companies depend on these other institutions for making additional money. And then maybe we need to not necessarily boycott those companies, but we need to make sure that the public knows who they're all in bed with. Because nobody's looking for that information. It's in plain sight. But if we're able to take that information, so just let's take, for example, Jim owns Taboo Solutions, and Jim has been making contributions, and he happens to start coming up, and he's getting bigger, and he's getting bigger, and he hits on Citadel, and he even starts investing with Citadel, because now he's in the big run. If we were to go to local, smaller communities, say that you keep buying this product, we just want to let you know, and this guy might not know. This is who he's in bed with, and it's taking money and then screwing over everybody here. That's, I think we need to focus. The fight that we have, we don't have, it's not that we don't have the numbers, we just don't have the voice yet. And we don't have anybody who's strong enough or willing in Congress to really stand up to go against these institutions. Back in after the collapse in 2010, I posted that article where Soros, Citadel, and a couple others were all before Congress and said, if you tighten regulations, we're leaving. And when you control 60 to 70% of all of the market, and you were to pull that out, it would have crippled the United States, period, point blank. And they know that. So, politicians, it's great, but I think we start focusing on some of these other companies that are in bed with some of these people, and we start letting other people see. We don't need to force it down their throat. We need to let them decide. You still want to keep supporting them, keep buying these products, and keep listening to whoever it is and doing whatever. But if you start with that, it's going to start it'll start to help to open up a little bit and more people, and you get more exposure and more exposure, more exposure. But and I agree with everything you're saying and everything you got. It is sickening. It really is. And like I keep saying the same thing. It's against the American people and people of the world. But because I live in this country, I care about Americans. That's just it. That's first. And those are the ones that are getting fucked over every single day. You, me, and everybody here in this space. The 99. Constantly. We, as a 99, have more power than the one. The only thing that they have, and again, understand this, when every time they talk about the cost to borrow and how much this is and what they're paying for, is that they don't care about that shit. Money, they don't care about it. It's the ability to print it at will and to have the power that they've had for so long. Period. That's all they care about. That's what they're afraid of losing. That's period. That's it. You lose power, you don't want to give it up to the ones that you control, because then what's going to end up happening? They're going to be in the same situation that we're all in. And they don't want to be down here by us. Who wants to give up getting a ride to work every morning in a Bentley? I mean, come on. You got millions of dollars in your bank account. So that's, I think, what we need to start looking at.
Well, your
Start
power
going after the
struggle.
smaller ones.
So your power struggle is exactly what they're trying to stop. They don't want us to gain power from them. And it is the transfer of power. It is a transfer of wealth. If you understand the game and how that's being played, like you were saying, then you can go ahead and start taking those pawns off of the board.
Right. And again, but clearly this is too much power for one individual to have, and nobody should have all of this power, period.
Yeah, it's
Agreed.
a
You can
monopoly
clearly see.
problem more
Right.
than it is a financial
And
problem.
but right, and the ability to control not just one government but many governments around the world is absolutely it's just insane. And how they were able to but they did. So for however they did it, that's they are where they are. That's it. So look, I mean, we've had a couple of freshman candidates that we've spoken to in spaces, and I reached out to the other guy that you spoke to the other day, and I reached out to Chris, and we'll have a couple of them in our space one night. And that's great. We get those freshmen on the same basis of transparency, term limits, no trading, and you got 4 or 5 of them that are six or more, and people start seeing that, and people, why are these new people making such a big stink about term limits and all this and this, and then people start asking questions. But if things are going to change, that's a good start. But we need to attack this from many different levels, all of it at one whole side, kind of a picture like a big virus. You need to hit it from every angle. One little antidote isn't going to do it. You need to hit it with a whole bunch of shit. Like it's that's the solution. If we just keep focusing on, well, this is what they've got, this is what they keep doing, and it's like, ugh. Rather than saying, okay, well, we know how they're doing this, but let's take a couple steps before that. How are they getting to that stage that's allowing it to do that? How do you chokehold that one to make it harder for them to keep doing it? That people see it. Because until people see this and they have a simple understanding of it, anybody that's outside this space, Cole, and it's outside right now sitting on a beach somewhere or on an island or working on their car, they don't give a shit about any of this stuff. They don't care, because it's just never been something they've been into, because they were never into it. But as soon as you hit common ground and tell them that your money is being fucked with just as much as your neighbor and the guy down the street and the person across the state, doesn't matter what job you hold, your money is being screwed with. Your hard-earned money that you get up every day for, that you bust your ass for, that you provide for your family for. That's what's being screwed with. And when people keep seeing that, and they're going to start quit, well, what do you mean my money's being screwed? Well, let me show you just a couple quick examples. I'm not going to hit you with, again, 100 billion pages and all these other shit. We've got 5 simple things here that are going to make somebody want to, if it's their choice, to look further into it. Because you can't beat people over the head with this crap. That's part of the reason why this system's in place. Because they know people aren't going to want to go and look for this shit. It's so complex. It's so deep. It's so organized. Somebody said it. I think maybe it was in his space, somebody else's space. Um, these are all like the frat guys. This is the club. Once you get into that club, you're in. You ain't ratting on anybody because you know you're going down also.
They're not going to
Agreed.
listen to us until we
Exactly.
have 8 digits in the fucking bank account.
That's
That's
right.
when they start listening to us.
Exactly. So, you know,
Which is true.
there's a way to do it.
Which is true, and which is why I did bring this information up to Representative Bradley out of California. That one day, I figured that a vet to a vet, I can go ahead and actually speak to him, and he understands exactly where this stuff is, how I got to it, and everything else. But like you said, that's just one fish in a small pond. And once they get to where they need to get to, if they get it into office, here they come, and now they're a part of the boys club. And where do they go from there? Always first, and then bleach.
Hey, man. I get nervous every time I talk, so apologies if my voice is shaky or whatever. I kind of
You're good.
don't do these no more. A friend of mine had told me that you guys were talking about swaps, and I'm one of the GameStop guys. I've owned AMC. I kind of retracted from most stock things, but I've done a lot of research. I had more time than anybody, and to me, this is not too complex to be simple. It is simply complex. And I hate to say it, that's just a time of involvement with the research. A lot of people don't understand the undertow of what has led us here. And I think that understanding that gives a lot of foresight into where this actually goes. Essentially, my perspective when I say this is, how did Burry know what was going to happen in 2008? How did he know? Not many people were able to predict it correctly, and technically deal with it correctly.
The answer is simple
Yeah.
because of the anomaly. And when people see one small anomaly, they'll worry about it later. When
It's
you have
simpler than
8
that,
other
sir. I'm going to
things,
ask to finish real quick, and that's the Corrections Corporation of America, the prison company, the number one in America at the time, went bankrupt. And so they made mortgage-backed securities called CDO bundles based off the prison mortgages. That led to 2008 because Burry was looking at the swap agreements that made that swap that tied those mortgages into bundles and was watching the CDOs themselves. Now, as we go forward to 2008, there's a couple entities that play a very important role. One is Nomura. They played a very key role in 2008, but there's 4 executives that left Nomura to go work at Ergotelis until 2012 and spread the American disease over the Japanese economy. That we started buying international bonds at that point because we needed those CDOs to be grouped into other international assets and then leveraged upon. This led to the algo creation after a 5-year swap in 2013. All meme stocks have an entrance of Citigroup, and then they have an entrance of Ken Griffin at Citadel 6 months after. That's easily verifiable. I've written about all of this. That's why it comes out like this. Now, as we go forward a few years, Michael Burry, my main focus was the depth of the swaps and why these meme stocks existed in the first place. But it also ties a lot into watching Burry over time. The one guy who knew what to look at was trying to understand his perspective. He's smart. He knows more than me. What's he looking at? And he's looking at these swaps and these interest rates. Now, when he invested into the stock I like, it didn't make sense to me even the whole time I was here. Why is he here? Until I understood the swaps from 2008, the residentials. Now we're at a time where the commercial mortgage-backed securities, because they were actually swapped onto Berkshire Hathaway in 2008 to cover the credit deficit. So now the insurance policies need some bolstering. Enter Obamacare in 2015. Now these things are all bundled together into CDOs. You have interest CDOs, all of it has been bundled together. And now we're looking at commercial mortgage-backed securities as the main one, as interest rates rise 6% in the last 2 years. Okay. That means that most businesses still attached to the corporate bond market are going to face a credit bubble. And this is the reason for BlackRock exiting the United States markets in the last few days, strategically trying to avoid that by going to emerging markets. But in the scheme of it, when you look at the swap agreements, most people don't understand them. And it's actually very simple. You are in a swap agreement with your car insurance company. You take on this arrangement that if something goes wrong, they'll cover what goes wrong. But in case nothing goes wrong, I'll pay you per month for you to cover what I'm doing. And that's a swap agreement. That if I'm taking a swap agreement on a bond and that bond goes to the floor, then I am covering the change in that asset or that equity. When it comes down to leveraging, rehypothecating, equity swaps are swaps are widely usable for almost any statistic from one account to another issued by the bank outwards have been exempt since CCA went bankrupt in 1999. The Modernization Act of 2000 made all covered swap agreements exempt. In 2013, after the Dodd-Frank Act, when Obama and everybody worked on this, including SBF's dad, right? A lot of people are in on this boys club you talk about. They were positioned into the CFTC's control and exempt, and have been exempt from public view the entire time. But the swaps themselves, unless you're an accredited institutional guy, we can't look at them. We don't have access to see swap agreements. But I was fortunate to look through. I'll just say it, and I hope you guys don't hate me because I'm trying to bring my knowledge to help you guys, and hopefully it has a place with everything you've said. When I was looking into it, I found something called contracts for financial differences in the mutual funds, and what that is an equity swap on a United States position using a foreign entity in a foreign exchange, because the mutual funds are in the Bahamas, the Caymans, just like FTX. They can internationally operate in America while existing outside of our jurisdiction, escaping reg show. And that these swap agreements, when we look at how they're shorting the markets, that swaps are rehypothecatable, that these futures and forwards on the swaps, the bets on bets on bets on bets in the big short, are all rehypothecatable. And that we have evidence of an illegal type of equity swap on these meme stocks. I wrote a full fucking DD on this, and it only saw 2,000 people saw it and they shut it down, but no one's proved it wrong yet. It's been the opposite. I got gaslit. So a friend asked me to come in here and just spit what I know. If you never see me again, big deal. I'm around. I'm not here for clout. I'm just here to share my whole journey of research. In the scheme of it, contracts for my financial difference are essentially an option play on an equity swap itself. Period. And they're not looked at. They aren't talked about, and every law that you've seen showing ETF changes did not affect mutual funds, and you've been gaslit the whole time. And it's that fucking simple, that when you look into the mutual fund ownership of any of your favorite stocks and you go through these mutual fund positions and click on them on Fintel because they're listed, and you go through the ones with value but no shares, that's because they're not reported correctly, because the ISIN number and the SIDAL are used in two different regions of the world. And although they are classified under the same, it's identification number, we call it an ISIN. It's classified that globally, but out of country foreign exchanges use a SIDAL listing, and that does not get reported to America, even though it's played on American positions and securities. That this is the legal loophole. It goes well beyond saying who's in bed with who, that we have repo participants playing illegal swap agreements using foreign affiliacies in foreign exchanges to suppress American markets. I haven't been able to show that to anybody at all. And I haven't been able to talk to anybody in any other community but ours, because the hate machine is in the middle of everyone. Most people just want to know what's going on, man. You know? So I hopefully that was smooth enough that most people understood. I know that it's depthy, and most people don't understand swaps or any of that, but this is a deep-rooted problem. That this goes back to 1987, when Warren Buffett saved Salomon by swapping with Geico policies. And then you go a couple swap agreements later, and yeah, mortgage bonds are now going funny. And then a couple years later, now insurance CDOs are going funny. And now we're looking at it like they swapped onto the treasuries. And that's the everything short DD. There's nowhere to swap this onto except for crypto. And I went through the FTX bill to show specifically that these swaps onto crypto are exempt. That's how they're proposing it. So
Can I ask you a question?
yeah, of course. And I didn't
Okay.
mean to just
No, no,
yeah.
no. Just a simple question. What you said is perfect, but there are a lot of people, as you said, that don't understand what you're saying. So that would have to be dumbed down about like 10 levels to make it easier. Number one, probably a lot of people won't read it because they just simply just aren't going to take the time to invest to understand what you're saying. But last year, so I love what you're saying. Just we could all work on it to make it a little bit easier to spread the word out. But last year, when Janet Yellen came out, not this year, but the year before, and she came out and said that she's got control over the economy and the budgets and all this other stuff. Did you believe her?
No, not at all. Honestly, I think we're all being gaslit to the max, and
Okay.
there's a time bomb on the treasuries, and
Because
we're
there was
all
probably some things that you saw that you would have just said, "There's just no way one person could possibly say that things are going to be okay," right?
honestly, bro, I don't, in my personal opinion, our next 30 years is going to be a little tough, bro.
Right. Well, my point is that back when Lehman and all this stuff happened, okay, Barry was not the only one who saw this. The rest of them, not every one of them, but there were more that saw it. And the last thing that they were going to do is stand up before Congress and say that they noticed this and didn't say a goddamn thing, which is why, with the anomaly, people saw it. They just never thought what was going to happen, which is exactly like this meme stock thing that's happening right now. It's an anomaly. People just overlooked it. People don't want to pay attention to it until, oh fuck, look what's happening right now. Oh shit. Because if you take a look at through all the stuff, here it is again. We're right back in the same situation where we find ourselves in every 15 years because somehow, some way, somebody tries to find a way to screw people over and they get away with it for a while. And that's the problem. But everything that you said, I love what you said. It's right on, dead on. We
Well,
just,
and don't leave
yeah,
out that it's going to be our fault when this all goes down.
of course, we've ruined
Mm.
everything. Right.
It's actually been every 7 years from the beginning of Nixon shock. That's the beginning of gold, silver, platinum matching on the trend charts, specifically matching. That's your first economic basket.
Do you have links to what you have?
It's all on my Reddit page, man,
On
under
your
the
Okay.
same name.
All right.
But like I said, I'm so shadow banned. I don't know what information anyone can see. It
Well, I
shows
hope you have
everyone.
backups.
Yeah, my posts show deleted, but to me they show alive. Same thing on Twitter. Most of the time, if I host a space, nobody sees it. I'm just a guy, and I'm a mouse in the clockwork.
Well, you got a bunch of people in here that would help you with that.
Yeah,
And
definitely, my friend.
Right.
yeah, because I mean, technically, when you look at the paper trading of the 60s, when the Bretton Woods ended, when they were manipulating the gold bonds, France was in America, that we had gold and silver and precious metal manipulations. That went into Nixon shock at the beginning of the algo trading, NASDAQ. From 72 to 79, matching charts. Bond scandal, 1980. Black Thursday, 1987. Then you got 1994. It would have been 99, but a 2 year hiatus because we went to war. 2008. 2015, the market shut down. 2020, the market shut down. 2022, it almost did, but they did something to where it didn't shut down.
When did
That
gold stop backing the U.S. dollar?
I believe 68 at end of the Bretton Woods.
Which is what you said
19,
right there in the beginning with
1933.
right there with Nixon.
Well, technically
See?
33, but most people don't know.
1933 was gold, silver was 64.
Yeah, because
Five.
America was actually bankrupt in 1880, 1894, and that's when the government approached Drexel, Rothschild, and J.P. Morgan to buy out the treasury bonds, and they did it on a condition that you invest in our companies, and that led to the Panic of 1903, which was the Panic of 1907, excuse me, which was the reason for Jekyll Island and the proposal of the Federal Reserve as a cushion between market collapse, the stocks, and the government collapse. Now you have retraction of the gold after the 20-year charter that they were signed to. That's in 1933. One Federal Reserve charter, and they retracted the gold from the civilians. I know that I just researched this a couple days ago because I was going back in history about technically, when did Germany and France start their gold war? And that had to do in the 1880s. They only lasted, Germany only had gold in their country for like 25 years. The week that the Federal Reserve was made, there was a war because Germany was like, we're not giving you the gold. And I'm not going into politics and things, only speaking economics. Fuck that whole era. But yeah, as we look at it, that's only two more charters before the end of the Bretton Woods.
Guys,
Thank you.
we do have hands up. Thank you always. That was very informative. We
That
appreciate
was
your
awesome.
insight. Can you do us a small favor though? Would you mind trying to put that in a thread again and like the one said, kind of dumb it down so to speak so people can understand it and tag someone like the one or something like that so people can see it?
Yeah, either
I think
that
we
or
can break it down.
yeah, always. If you want, I could send you over an email address or whatever, and I can go ahead and dumb it down if I need to. I'd be more than happy to do that for you.
I know in your guys' community, a lot of you know Maggie Moon. Maggie Moon always has a way to me. I'm from her. I've known her a while. We're from DFB.
Gotcha. Thank you, my friend, for the info.
So we had Bleach had a hand up, then Ghost.
Yeah, and then Matt.
I mean, that was absolutely poetic. Always I gotta say, like you were ringing like all the tunes, beautiful, fluent. That was amazing. I gotta say, and when you step up, and I was like gonna say something like what you were gonna say, but you said it so much more intelligent that I'm not even gonna dare to overshadow what you just said. But the thing is, one thing that I do want to say is that what James and Fafa are bringing to the table, as long as what the one is saying, is the both thing. It's the same thing. We need knowledge in order to know how they're screwing us, but also we have to do something about it. But that's the thing. That's the hard part right there when we have to act on it. But the first thing is the information, the knowledge. You have to know about everything that is going on. Even if you're presenting it to 100 people and 10 out of those 100 took it with them, that's great. Because now those 10 are going to be able to show another 100. Maybe they can pull 10 as you're also pulling 10. So this is what I mean. Like everything is needed, and that was absolutely beautiful. And I actually want to throw something out there for you to think about. And if you can send me a DM about this, I'm gonna throw you a date. The Treasury Act of 1871. If you know about that, you shoot at me because I've been doing a lot of research. The same thing that you're going at. And like I said, history, it doesn't repeat itself exactly, how it's supposed to, but everything does really rhyme, and it's kind of scary to be looking at like that. And just like James is saying, just people like you that you have a very depth understanding, like James and yourself and Matt and others in the community. When you're looking at something like this and it gets you sick because you realize what's in front of you, you realize what scary it is to come. And that's why it's very important to I wouldn't say dumb it down, but you need to be able to tell the children and they can understand it, because that way we can start putting more people onto what's going on, and hopefully we have so many more people that are in the know that we can actually do something about this goddamn illegalities that is going on, that it goes all the way to the banks, the politicians, everything that we've been fighting against. And, we're at the very forefront. And like I said, I'm very happy about that. So, I got to say thank you, man. Thank you for that.
Go ahead, Ghost.
Yeah, I kind of came in late, but I listened always, and I kind of heard that he's kind of talking about like just the whole generation of the market, the years of this and that. But aren't we here to talk about AMC? Because there is nothing like AMC. There is not. When was the last time 3.8 million people got into a stock and fought against the system? So yeah, you could go back in time and you can say this, yes, and it is very important. It is very important to learn from the past. But there is something, this has never been done. I'm sorry, this has never been done. And if you want to go against me, show me that it's been done. So I'm just trying to understand, dude. How do you short a company that is about to be?
That's what he was explaining.
Yeah.
What he was explaining was through the swaps and through the swaps, through different types of puts, calls, derivatives, all of that.
Well,
That's
yeah,
what he was
that's why I
explaining.
was saying that's in the past. That's like, yes, that's
But it's the
Hey,
same thing
you
he's
Steven.
learn
doing.
from
The
you
same
Steven.
learn
thing
from
they're
the
doing now.
past.
Let me get
And
in
yeah,
here
it can
because
be
I'm going to
present.
dumb it down a little.
Hold on,
Dumb it down,
hold
but
on.
I'll help him out.
Matt. Let
When
go.
was the
I can
last
help him
time there was
explain
3.8
this pretty easy.
million
Matt,
investors in a company that is positive?
can you repeat that, Ghost? I kind of missed part of it, but
I said, when was the last time there was 3.8 million investors in a company that is positive, that is getting shorted to the ground?
you can't say that there's ever been a stock that's ever had this many people that supported it. So
But
honestly,
you
that's
should be able to go into the past, right? And then do your research. So there's never been this, right? That's all I'm asking.
Steven,
There's
like
never,
Papa,
never
yeah.
just real quick. If you go check out Pantheon, I think his name is Pantheon AMC or something like that, maybe. The thing is, what we're going through right now, yes, it has never happened before. But there have been similarities in other things that have happened in the past. The people lost all their wealth as others are gaining wealth. You understand? What we're going through right now, like, it's an anomaly that is happening in our time. But in different times, in different eras, some things similar to what we're going through. Not about shorting stock, but it could have been anything. That a family lost all their wealth and another family got wealth. So there have been instances in the past. So check out Pantheon, and there's a lot of historical evidence to back that up.
Hey, Bleach. If you use Bleach, no, but seriously, I do want to say you're right, Bleach. In a sense, we've never had a stock that's had 3.8 million shareholders, retail shareholders. But I, like you said, there's similarities, and one of the similarities I'll bring up, and then it's Matt's turn. Hopefully, he didn't drop down, and that is that Tesla has a huge following base, and they've gone through what we classify as the longest short squeeze ever, right? So that would be the closest similarity. I don't think they have 3.8 million shareholders, but at this point, that would be the closest we could. Matt, it's your turn. You were up with your hand next.
Go ahead, Matt. Or are you gone?
I see him here. Oh, did you leave?
I just saw him drop
he's
down.
gone. Yeah, he's gone.
Maybe he can't hear. Keith,
Go ahead.
Give it up to Keith. Go, Keith.
Oh, sorry, I was waiting for Matt. Hey, it's funny he mentioned the name Pantheon because I just came across a thing this morning about a 7-year-old seventh grader did research on the presidents and found out that they all are related through a bloodline called the Pantheon of King John Pantheon. So it's funny that he says that, and I don't know if it's true or not, but there was also a theory put out by another dude, and they're saying that it's true that every one of our presidents is from the exact same bloodline. So yeah, there probably is some truth to that history you're talking about.
Definitely reminds me of Metal Gear Solid and the Patriots. That's who you're fighting against. That's hilarious.
And I love the way always, and to me, he actually tied it up perfect. What even in the other space, what Dragon Breath was trying to say, and then what you and Fafa was saying. I mean, always kind of tied it up in a knot. Yeah, that was excellent, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, is
I'm
Matt
gonna
here?
actually. I think he. I don't know if he's having phone issues or not. If he comes back up, he can speak. But I do want to say one thing. So when I was doing my research, I didn't have. I mean, I had a focus on what I was doing, and I had to constantly ask questions. And because I had people that I really trusted to be able to run my ideas on what I was seeing outside of the load halt, I needed to find a starting point to find those connections. And I want to share this. James and I had the chance to talk, like I said, on a chat, a video stream type chat, and it was groundbreaking for us to break things down. We've run with people's thoughts and what they've done and try to expand on it. Everybody who does DD gets the credit. Because when I actually was breaking down and understanding the connections between FTX, Alameda, Cumberland, and the tokens, like the crypto with like Tether and Solana, and I picked brains like Average. I picked brains of Akash. I picked brains of Kilo. People that I trust to lead me in the right direction. And so this stuff that we've gone through, what we've learned, things that we're breaking down even today, and we're still going to have more research to do. I give them credit for leading me in the direction that would help me to be able to find that piece that I was missing to tie it all together. So what we've just shared today specifically was stuff that was things that James was looking into, that he had learned, stuff that I learned, the connections of the tokens and stokens that we've been uncovering since even our run up to 72, when we found that Brazil had 8 quadrillion AMC tokens somehow back down there. If you remember that was something that was released back in January 21. Stuff that we've been, bits and pieces that finally are starting to come together. And the picture is going to become more clearer because we're going to continue to find more and more. But it started with discussions with community, with research, and just talking amongst other people and just kind of laying our cards on the table and say, hey, I'm stuck, but I know there's something important about this. So everybody that does DD, everybody that shares it, everybody that helps to just talk to someone to get them to focus, or just the mental support and encouragement, everybody in this community deserves credit. I want people to know that, because we couldn't get where we're at today without that help.
I'm going to say that, and then Bob, you got the floor. And I didn't come to this information lightly in any which way. I needed to ask people in regards to this, and if she's out there, I hope she is. But Sylvia, thank you for helping me with actually tying these pieces together. She is a wealth of knowledge, and she is absolutely a phenomenal person in every which way. Sylvia, I wanted to thank you for helping me tie this all together, just to be able to share it and explain to everybody, because she is honestly an awesome human being. She really is. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to this guy always, man, I'm really interested in what you have, and I want to know how to get my hands on the information. Um, and I think people are saying, to dumb it down a little bit. And I think you're already on your way to doing that. You gave a great analogy of a swap when you compared it to automotive insurance. And I think that's really a great way to get people to understand what these things are, because everybody understands what insurance is. Also, someone brought up Pantheon AMC. That guy is a plethora of knowledge. He's a real smart dude, man. He and we've been friends for over a year, man. He's a really great guy, and super smart. His channel is full of great, great information going back over a year in this play. Um, he doesn't get enough credit, dude. He does not get enough credit. He comes with receipts on everything he puts out. Um, if you want to figure out how to get this stuff put in terms and in ways for other people to understand it, get in touch with Pantheon AMC. He's on Twitter. He is really good dude, and he has a way of speaking to people that he can make, people, like me who don't understand something understand how it all works, man.
I say, Bob, to that, always send it to everybody. Like I said, that's why I brought Pantheon up. And Pantheon is not a guy that he be pushing AMC. Like, he talks about historical facts that has happened already and how things are similar. And that's why I say to you, Steven, if you really want to know and you really want to go and learn about historical things that have happened before, go watch Pantheon. You know, his streams are like they're still up there. You can watch them as you're working. They're great because they're teaching you about history and how everything is connected to how we are right now. And always, if you had a problem getting your information out there, I mean, you have the people right here, like they're telling you. Send it to Pantheon. Send it to James. Send it to Fafa. You know, these are the people that are always out here digging, just like like you are. And I like the fact that you came very calm, collected. I like that, man.
Another guy that you might be interested in getting in touch with, a real sharp individual, Casey Shaw. He is a real smart fella, real data driven. He likes to dig in deep when he's like a pit bull. He's tenacious when he gets his teeth on something. He just digs in. You can find him on here as well. Casey Shaw, really great guy. And as far as Pantheon, yeah, he does a lot. He does a lot on AMC. He broke down when they announced popcorn how the entire industry works. The man even called the company Weaver, the supplier of the popcorn kernels, and asked them, "Could you guys supply AMC? Can you take on that much load?" And they were like, "Yeah, you know." But he goes in depth. He doesn't play. He is really good. He's got a breakdown of how AMC got all their debt and where it all actually came from, and he breaks down everything. Mudrick, Apollo, all of them. You know, he's big on AMC, but like he said as well, he'll go back and just start bringing up Rothschilds and telling you how all this stuff back in history has come to pass and where we are now and how it all compares. Brilliant man, really brilliant guy.
It's just a matter of uncovering. The more you uncover, the better off you're going to be. The more wealth of knowledge. Knowledge is power, regardless. And if we can go ahead and bring it to the right people and basically go ahead and show that we do know, it's only going to make us better as a community, one, and be able to actually get what we want. Understanding that the transfer of power is the hardest thing to actually get to, but you're doing it on a daily basis. The more information that you grab, the more information that you hold, and the more information that you're able to speak about, it only makes everyone in the community stronger as a whole, because we're all for one and one for all.
Man, that's very true, man. That's very true, James. You know, hey, yo, can somebody send a message to Matt? You know, I'm probably, somebody that he always responds to.
Hey, what?
Yeah. Is he back? Should be. Mm.
Why? What happened? Did he not? Is he can't come in or something or what?
I have no idea, but I'll send him a message here real quick.
Other than the fact that I asked him to wait for Ghost, I hope he wasn't pissed off at that because Ghost was talking and it was hard to hear him. And
Yeah. You know, but it's okay, man. I wanted to hear what he says because you know something about Fafa, when somebody's saying something, it sparks something in you. That's why Twitter is such a beautiful place because you have so many people talking, right? And then one person says something, they clicked in your brain, even though there might be 500 people, it clicked in yours, and then you want to come up and say something, right? So that's why I want Matt to come back, regardless if he feels some type of way or not, and for him to say what he want to say because I want to hear what always unlocked in his brain. I want to hear that.
no, I agree with you, and that's why I was hoping that he would speak right after because he had his hand up. I agree 100%. I wanted to hear what he had to say. I just wanted to hear what Steven was trying to finish up. Hopefully he comes back. James, are you trying to see if you can send him a link DM? See if he comes back?
Literally just sent him a message saying, hey, get your ass back in here.
Yeah, Tenor Security's looking for him.
Hey, I got a question for you guys.
I'm not being security right now.
No, but your dog is.
She's
Remember, your dog's
she's always
paid.
on high alert. Don't worry.
No, she's sleeping.
Or as my kids just said, she's sleeping right now.
So she's on the watch.
She's like a cat. ready to pounce.
So, hey, someone tell me, Bleach, maybe you know, is it Matt's birthday today?
I believe it is. He came into a space and said that it is, but yeah, I think so. I will say 100% yes.
Well, that's hilarious because tomorrow's mine. So,
Happy birthday.
Matt and I need to stick together. We're old Dios. We're getting older.
I feel old every day. And the more information that I just gain, the more I feel older and my brain hurts.
Didn't you have? Sorry,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, didn't you feel that same way after we had that discussion for about 2.5 hours?
Oh, you have no idea. All this shit. I mean, every time you see it, it makes you want to throw up.
Hey, Matt, go
Happy
ahead,
birthday,
please.
Matt.
Happy birthday, by the way. And Matt, just so you know, my birthday's tomorrow. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday back. I'm not
Happy
mad.
birthday,
I just
Richard.
get frustrated and I lose my. I don't have patience anymore for it. And when you come in hot,
I got
hold
you.
on, let me finish. When they come in hot, talking this is an AMC space, and what does the past have to do with it? The past has everything to do with everything because the DD is what gives us the conviction in order to be where we're at right now. So when you say one has nothing to do with the other, it has everything to do with the other. And the other aspect that I wanted to ask always is there's a big difference. The other big difference is that other than that conviction to hold and hold them shares hostage against their gains on the short value that they stole from us through manipulation in order to rehypothecate through all them different institutional swaps is they can't unwind it because we're not letting go like the retail in the past did where they just gave up and said fuck it, I lost, right, leaving them off the hook, allowing them to unwind that, steal all that financial value from retail, right? That's a huge difference, right? But the bigger difference, in my opinion, always tell me if I'm off point here, but ever since they made front running illegal, they do what I coined as the backside short. And the backside short being the opposite of a front side pump is that they created account value by filling customers, pump up the stock, short it from the top, manipulate it down, creating losses on the retail side, adding account value to their short position, not their long pump, right? So now they're swap valuing that gained value in their account value stolen from your account to theirs in order to create these rehypothecated swaps. So a big difference between then and now, even as big as the retail hold and the retail DD and the retail understanding of what they've been doing, is that then they could only lose 100%. You can only go from 100% of value to zero on a short on a long loss. From a short collateral side account value that was stolen, when you try to unwind that to close all that rehypothecated position, the losses can be infinite. It don't stop at 100%. It can go to 200, 500, 600, 1,000. And we've witnessed that over the last 2.5 years, 3 years. So, yes, it is important to calibrate the past with what's going on, understand the differences and the nuances, because that's what gives you the conviction to put up with all this bullshit and still be here 3 years later.
To me,
See,
man, the scariest part of my research is when I found the equity swaps that are illegal. Granted, they haven't been illegal forever, but they were essentially made in 1990 after the 87 bond scandal, right? After Warren Buffett, Geico were the swap saviors of our economy, which we would have had a bad incident if nobody covered it. They didn't close it, they covered it by creating a new thing and then using that, manipulating it, and then pairing that with another new thing. But these contracts for financial difference, for the most part of my life, have been in play, completely obscured from public view, and have allowed private backdoors into the markets in a way that we would have never known existed had I not found them. And I don't mean it stupid like that. I don't care about me. I don't care about me, believe me. But the concept is that it's essentially, and I'm going to quote for a website, is that these are blah, 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 initially used to offset the risk of loss from stocks traded on the London Stock Exchange. They are showing up in mutual funds with American registrations, but they're traded on the London Stock Exchange and they represent American securities. I shouldn't need to say that any more clearly. The market that we exist in isn't real. It's not real. That these bets on bets on bets in the background haven't always been in the dark pools. Dark pools existed with algo trading. That was D.E. Shaw. That's the beginning of Jeff Bezos. His first company was an algorithmic scraper that compared different prices of other websites. It was named Abracadabra or Cadabra. I don't remember, but it was his first company and nobody talks about it. And he left D.E. Shaw to found that company, and that company turned into search engine.
Cadabra.
Yeah, it's that nobody knows this. That he worked at D.E. Shaw for 2 years before anything. That Two Sigma Investments, the other algorithmic traders, also worked at D.E. Shaw. That there are certain institutional sources to where people learned these things. That these are inside strategies by insiders, and that we're not allowed to talk about it. There's a reason that I have had such a hard time simply existing. When my DD was done, I literally was, and I'm not, I don't like to talk about me, but I learned how to make art so that I could be featured on my company's NFT marketplace, and I left all of this alone. And I've made art for the past 2 years. So me just showing up here is because a friend asked me to show up. I'm glad I did, because at least you guys listened to me. A lot of people immediately when I go to talk, they straight gaslight. Oh, you're fucking stupid. You're psycho. You're pathetic. That's all I've dealt with for 2 years. I haven't been able to show anybody anything because they don't even see the Reddit write-ups.
Man,
Like,
I'm sorry about that. Always, you've been going to chill
it's just,
rooms, man. That's why.
yeah.
Your insight has been eye opening, especially for what we've been trying to discuss and talk about. And this is one of the things that I've been wanting to talk about is in regards to the swaps, how the bonds are bullshit and all that other stuff, because people don't understand it. You're talking a foreign language when you're talking
Yeah,
about
it's
this.
that way on purpose. It really is. That you have to teach yourself how. I read the title 17 at one point, for Christ's sake. Who fucking does that, dude? Who
Not
does
many.
that? Like, and that's because I wanted to understand in our sector of things, DRS, what is all this shit going on? What are all these different narratives? I didn't do anything. I sat here unmused by anything that anybody was doing. I have my strategy. And I don't try to tell anybody what to do with anything. I just talk the knowledge, you know.
Agreed.
Hopefully, my opinion was, yeah, but even there's no one around besides me left to talk about CFDs. This is like Epstein level, as in this is the finance sector's Epstein. You're not allowed to talk about this. So hear my friendly warning that as you tread into these waters, these are deep waters. And the water gets murky, and the people that are involved in these waters do things that make you cry at night because they're all targeted at you. So if you do choose to talk about this shit publicly, know that there are more than likely difficulties in the way. And I say it honestly, most of us, it's whatever. There's something important going on here. We need to talk about it, you know. But in the scheme of things, dog, I mean, if we can tie a 7 year occurrence, we have beyond a pattern. A pattern's in only 2, 3 dots on the map. We have a design. And when you say that, once you bubble all of these swaps on every step and then carry it onto the treasuries where there's nowhere to covered swap on a treasury to, because everything's been drag netted into it. Yeah, you look at forced adoption into a cryptographic system because old people wouldn't adopt it. This is forced adoption onto a newer system that the financial system is engineered since the beginning of BCG. 63, Bruce Henderson. Coming from Arthur D. Little, which has a huge background to things. Like, this is the beginning of the big three firms in the 60s. Bain and Company, the beginning of harvesting corporations. Like this, everything spurs and flows like a wave and a tide, and it's right on rhythm. And when you know the rhythm, like our friend was saying earlier, you should be safe in feeling that you're making the right moves, and that you're on the Burry side of the decision and not the rest of us side.
Correct. Now that you're up here, I have a question for you. Now that we have going on this 10 days, once the AMC files this 8K, now what do you think honestly happens? Do you think that it's ball bullshit, or do you think that they're going to stay
I
in?
don't. I'm ignorant of the situation. To be honest, fuck, a week ago I started teaching myself Unreal Engine. I just finished my first game today, a little runner game.
Nice.
It's absolutely stupid and a headache. But I switched up my whole life, man, to look at if we're going to a digital system. I don't have a digital job. Let me learn it. And so I haven't paid attention to filings, and fuck, I haven't even looked at my own investments chart all year. You know, like a hardcore hodler. Like those numbers are fucking fake until they're right.
That's why I tell people I'm not looking at a chart until I see $5,000, because that's the only way it even interests me at this point.
Yo, I
By
want a Lambo
by
every single day
restraining
of the
from
month.
it. Oh, I'm sorry, brother.
Go ahead, always.
I was gonna say, for me, by restraining from it, I was noticing certain influences by people going, "Oh, it's going up," and I go to look, and I'm like, "Bro, it's a dollar shift. What are you doing?" And that it was affecting my dopamine and leaving me depressed. And that's not a proper investment strategy. And the more that I stopped looking at it, the less it mattered, and the more the research mattered, because I wasn't curtailed into looking at a chart that doesn't show me what I'm trying to find.
Correct, because there's no TA, there's no anything that can actually say this is going to happen. This is what it's going to be. This is how it's going to happen. There's nothing. It's just literally one day you're going to wake up and then boom, there's a couple of zeros behind your account. It's just going to be that.
Well, depending on how deep you guys dug into the FTX fiasco, like I said, I'm with the cousin in all of this. Like, I'm a GME guy. I really don't give a fuck. I'm not here to talk about that.
Yeah.
FTX involved a lot of companies, but mainly R2. We had to tokenize positions, and our side of the street, technically, it had to do with, oh fuck, Robinhood's crypto clearing broker was one of the entities involved in FTX, and there's a big theory of mine that rehypothecates were sent to FTX at a time that he was doing a shuffle thing. He made rehypothecated crypto positions, and as those got shuffled back in, because you could exchange real shares for crypto tokenomics and vice versa, that we now have a rehypothecated synthetic washing machine based out of FTX. And that has to do with jump trading, which was the clearinghouse for Robinhood's crypto.
Yeah.
This all goes very in. Now, as we talk about why did Ken Griffin give money to Melvin to save Vlad? That's a swap agreement, you guys. It's that fucking simple. It's literally that simple.
I'm going to throw out one more thing. So, always, you were right. AMC and GameStop were two of the biggest tokens that they created, but they also had BBBY, which, if we see their history of what happened with them, they were able to continue to create and create and create through the tokenized system many different shares that were supposed to be backed, both for all three of those. But then Tesla was actually thrown in that. And I don't know if you saw that, but I had done the research on it, and Tesla was actually heavily used in that. And we know what's going on with that. But you're right. They used it as a way to hide creation through the swaps of many different tokenized, unbacked by one for one stocks through the tokenized method. So,
And that's the messed up
and they
part.
kept,
It never
was it?
dwindles, because as rehypothecates are sent out to dark pool entities, rehypothecates can be sent in. So as long as they had the share numbers, it didn't matter if they were real or not.
No, and they're going to continue that because they're trying to start back up again. If you remember, the news is that FTX is trying to get back in business.
He was criminally discharged. And see, literally, his dad worked on the Dodd-Frank. This isn't 0.1%. This is the 0.01%. financial engineers that create the markets that we exist in. This is beyond the money. These guys, it doesn't matter if they have no money, they can just ask a friend for a mansion because their homies have all the mansions.
Let me just borrow a cup of gold.
But yeah, that the crypto, and it's really such a big deal about watching legislation right now about if they're going to allow swaps on crypto, because what that does, and I'll say it point blank finally, is it puts a ticking time bomb onto crypto the same way there's a ticking time bomb on our treasuries. Period. One of our community members, Adabit, did a write-up in the beginning of 21 called The Everything Short, and he outlined how the shorts had been swapped onto the treasuries, and it took me 2 years of self-research to understand enough for me to sit here and talk to you guys. And this is, I didn't go to school. I'm a high school dropout, and I've been homeless for 20 years of my 30-something year life. So I hate to say it, as stupid as this, it doesn't get any fucking realer than me. If this doesn't work, I'm going right back where I came from. You know what I mean? But there comes a point, it's almost like they're trying to set it up to where we don't survive until it happens, because I don't know anybody with $1,000 in the bank right now. Like in my life situation, everybody's feeling what's going on. And even if they're not, interest rates are bleeding them. Like,
it's the same thing across the board with everybody. That's why I went and said that it's not just one individual market that's going to do it. It's going to be the everything crash, because everything around you, it starts with the commercial real estate, but it's going to end with everything just blowing up in front of you, because there's no way that each market can sustain itself.
a friend of mine, Kringle Kitten, when I discovered the HYG corporate bubble, because I had written about this, everybody said I was full of shit, and I just stopped talking about it. But I found so many things over time. Nobody fucking cared. But I asked him, what happens if there's two bubbles? If we can prove there's a treasury bubble and a corporate bond bubble, he goes, that's full collapse. That's systemic. You can't handle two bubbles. I mean, we can swap out one bubble, but if you have an exponential bubble, there's nowhere to pull that from. That's fact.
Now I want
This
to
guy
add to
resides
that
in Canada.
with a question, sort of, or at least a point of view. When you have an economy that is dependent on market structure as it is now, rehospicated, bubbled, and diluted to oblivion, and you have that all swapped out in a different lateral economy to the max, and there's nowhere to go with it, right? Swapping that into a bilateral crypto market doesn't change the economic value of the economy as it sits, it just moves it. So is this about, like, this doesn't create any relief to the economy in the situation that it's in until it capitulates and unwinds. So is this more of an image faith type move, or is this more of a, well, we're fucked, so we're going to do whatever we can to gain the most control over the people with, like, don't let a good catastrophe go to waste?
Do I speak honestly? I mean, because I'll speak bluntly and
Yeah,
honest.
be as blunt as you want.
My opinion, America reminds me of Germany occupied France pre-World War II. At the same time, when we look at our economic conditions, man, this is what it does is this is very similar to Germany, World War I, hyperinflation of the Weimar, except we're not going to use the same dollar. We're going to use crypto after it's hyperinflated to where that's the normal standard. And since things weren't closed, they were only covered through swaps onto crypto, we're creating a long-term, really long-term, depending on what the interest rate on those swaps are, time bomb on the crypto markets, to where by the end of that, yeah, money becomes more and more and more and more and more worthless, and the next generation will never even know it. They don't get to know what we know because they're blowing up the system on a 9/11 style to where everything that we have found and talked about isn't going to be here to talk about. This is a mafia style burning of the building, right? Insurance is coming. That's a swap agreement. And then they take all this debt bullshit and they put it onto the new system to where the old system almost isn't even talked about. That's why we don't talk about paper flaws of the 60s, because we have NASDAQ, even though that the NASDAQ flaws are designed from the paper flaws. in the scheme, who knows how long that extends it, man? You know, what, 30, 50 years, 250 years? It's mathematical at that point. But the surefire thing is that we are establishing a new system with a bubble at the base of it. You can never equate that to a perfect system. There's no way to work that out because of the exponential of it.
Kaboom. Kaboom. Yeah. Thank you for the sound effects. But this is something that you can't recover from for 20, 30, 50 years. There's no way. Your kids are going to witness all of this. And there's no amount of money in the world that could ever recover this in any which way. None.
My advice to most people, man, and I'm a pretty zen person, is that we've been taught to rely on a thing that provides everything when we can be self-sufficient. And it's not a big deal to just simply go plant some fucking vegetables in the middle of your backyard for no reason except for you want some vegetables. And the more that you self-produce, the less that you are reliant. And we're at a unique time where Tesla's research is being talked about. We're talking about self-produce, how to clean your water so whatever's in the water, it's not there no more. This, all of it, that all of this goes into preparing correctly so that as things are, when they get low, it's not the money that you're reliant on, it's the things that you are producing. And if you produce enough, that's when you can share with others and they can produce too. And then you have a community, and no matter fucking what, you're fine as all this happens. And that's honest. That we all think we're so separate, man. I'm not hating on anybody for anything they buy, your skin color. As long as you're kind to me, we'll chat, bro. It's been a long road and people being unkind, and I'm not here to spit wisdom at foolish people. That's foolish. It's just, I'm poor, never had money. I don't look at having money. Hopefully this all works out in the most beneficial manner, but I don't really pretend to. They've pulled tricks out for the past 2 years nonstop while we're watching it. I don't know what they'll do when we're not watching it, you know?
I thank you for your candor. And on top of that, just being as blunt as possible, to be perfectly, it makes a hell of a lot of sense. It does. And it just being able to spread your wealth and your knowledge and understanding of certain things to the community, even though you're, you know, have a small part of us, but more so in GameStop, which is also great. And I don't care what part you're from, as long as you can spread the knowledge to make people grow from, you know, an economic standpoint, and also at the same time grow as a human being and an individual. And making this a stronger community is what I care about, because we're only as strong as our weakest link. We are, all of us are. And as long as we continue to grow, we're only going to be better.
There's a very important reason that we have been isolated as communities instead of the whole that we came from. And that's because they don't want the most intelligent of us to find each other and to really uncover the full extent of what's going on. I don't know who the major AMC researchers are. I know all of them on my side. I've been blessed to meet all of them. There's geniuses. There are geniuses around us that make me pale. And where I'm like, I can remember things. I'm good at learning things, but these guys went to school for it and they knew exactly where to look for the right answer, where I have to read through a whole title to find it and then go, ha, there it is. Those guys, they're the ones that we need to get together, because once this is actually explainable to multiple levels of the community's intelligences in a manner that's digestible across all, then we don't have the intelligence gaps. And it's not about all this 2 years of shit I read. Hey, this right here is what you're looking for. Here's where you find it. Let me know what you think of it. And, you know, I did a lot of DD on my company. I did a 3-hour video going through the institutional holdings to show millions of percents in our stocks of the institutional holders. There's no reason Berkshire Hathaway should have 1.6 million percent reported profit for one quarter. That's not feasible. I didn't understand it until I understood the swaps. I didn't understand. And it really comes to that through trying to learn, revelations come, and then the picture makes sense. You get to understand why Leon Black is a big deal to most of us. We don't like him. We don't like him. Bad guy. Epstein, bad guy. Like there's circles and deep depths to some individuals, but you never know until you look. And then you go, oh, fuck, okay, Victoria's Secret, big rabbit hole. Like there's a lot in this world that we were never shown. They never wanted us to see it in the first place. Let alone sit here in a group with 1,000 of us going, what the fuck's going on, guys?
100%. Couldn't have said it better myself. I really couldn't. I thank you, though. I
I'm
truly
going to
do.
drop down to listener. Oddly, I feel like I'm taking over your space.
No.
I don't want to detract from a good
No,
conversation.
always. I appreciate it, by the way. If you want us to drop you down, we can do that. I don't know what else was there anything else you wanted to bring up? Or do you just want to have an open platform and let people talk?
You can have an open platform and let people talk. I mean, I went through what needed to be going through my end and what I've discovered and what I found. And, you honestly go ahead and play with the website because it will make you understand where the money is going, where it's being created, and so on and so forth. And now you can see it in plain sight.
Yeah, let me reiterate something about that. One thing that people should see is that when they get the money, they're switching it over to different locations. We saw specifically Brazil and Argentina, and then it was going straight over to their main holding
Euro, dollar.
over Bahamas. Yeah, over into like the Bahamas. So it was just going through to those other places that actually we saw high numbers of AMC. I don't know if you want to call them the synthetics or if it was just like a tokenized version of a quadrillion was an example, because we saw that back in June of 2021 where people were like, what the fuck is this? Why do they show some 8 trillion or whatever it is, a quadrillion number for AMC,
tokens.
if you guys remember that. And that was something we were all trying to figure out. Well, now we've figured out how they've been doing stuff like that through the transferring of the money through those, countries and then over to their main holding in the Bahamas. So, and always you brought up, FTX. I think people should remember that Citadel and also Virtue and also FTX have their main holdings of their finances so they can get tax free over in the Cayman Islands. Very, very significant for that, because remember, they can use that as a way to do work in international and also save money on having to pay taxes when it comes to America itself. So let's never forget that. That's vital for people to understand that that's another way that they can branch into the swaps without having the international fees that would come with it. Right? Always. Very significant.
Yeah, technically, they'll have an office in the Caymans. They'll have a registered address in Wilmington, Delaware, because it's a loophole in America. That's technically a district of Britain. So it doesn't face certain import rules that the rest of the country does. And then they'll actually have like a Chicago location. And when you go to look at the business registrations, if you see Wilmington, Delaware, that's a good hint to look up that QSIB in the SEC filings or their advisor sec. And you can look up the other addresses, and that will give you the name of the entity in the Caymans. Normally, when you go into that entity, you can find shell funds.
Yep,
in
exactly.
that registration, it will say this is registering for this business, but in that same filing, they'll register for 1,000 other businesses. That way that those other registrations are hidden.
Right. And they can also
That's how you find corporate structure.
they can also create spin-off companies where they can hide their trade values and where the money's coming from, so as not to get questioned. Is wait a minute, what is that? Where'd that come from? And including short swap values.
And I think another thing that's been happening now lately, because people see that they're actually opening up major offices now in Miami. We know that Citadel moved down there. Why are they able to do that? Well, they got tax breaks and incentives to move down there. That's actually helping them. And they got some new regulations for handling business structure over in Florida now. So that's another reason why, like, yeah, Delaware is their main focus, but Chicago and Miami are now major hubs when it comes to, the regulations that they have and the tax breaks and incentives to open branches over in those areas.
I'm in the city of where crooks are made.
Yeah, James, I'm gonna look into you, James. You're from
Yep.
Chicago, bro.
Yep. Good old Chi-Town's finest, baby.
I know.
We
I
know
know
how to
one
make
person shady
crooks.
from Chicago. I know one person
Goddamn.
shady from Chicago.
Yeah,
Go,
that's
Jim.
what happens, unfortunately. The only good thing that we have, and they kind of suck too, but yeah, bear down.
Man, Jim gave me. He told me about this loan, man, and I'm stuck with him now, man. $200, 30-year loan, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy. Honestly, it's crazy. I open up the floor to anybody, man. I just, yeah. I hope your eyes are open to the fuckery that we are dealing with, and now it's just a matter of getting the correct people involved. Is really what it comes down to. It's really what it is. It's all a matter of finding people that can go ahead and speak on our behalf or go over the information to actually look at it and try to invoke change. But until you get somebody that's on our level that can basically go ahead and invoke that change, we're in a power struggle and continue to be in that way until something is done. It really is, unfortunately. I open up the floor to anybody else. If not, yeah, I'm being told that I have to go grocery shopping here in a second. So I'm going to go, we'll answer some questions and go from there. What's up, Tanya?
I'm sorry. I completely lost what I was going to say.
It's okay. It happens. You just speak your mind. I mean, I see the military hat.
I think I'll just add that there's a lot of DD out there, and a lot of people, like he said, that even though I know this stuff and I've seen this stuff and I've researched this stuff, there's so much stuff that, I can remember something and not even begin to know where to find it again. I cleaned out more stuff than I have, and I have way too much to siphon it off. And I know that a lot of people are in that same DD situation, but I think that we're at a point now where there's plenty of information scattered around different communities all over the place that I think it's time to start trying to consolidate, organize that information, find out what's proof, what's speculation, get the proof together, and kind of package it into a central system of exposure, like proof
I agree.
exposure.
I agree.
And if you look at COVID as part of the scam, that's exactly when them REITs dropped 66% in one day, every single one of them.
I
So
think Tanya remember what you wanted to say.
I don't think they lost all that money. I think somebody stole all that money in one day.
I don't know what they were trying to do on that in COVID in any which way, but it only compounded a problem. Tanya, what's up?
I remembered what I was going to say. I have actually, sent Dee Dee to different newscast news organizations. Of course, mainstream talks about none of it. But if any of you are familiar with Jack Posobiec from Human Events Daily, on his episode number 341, in the middle of the half-hour episode, he said, "We did it. We won. We beat Wall Street at their own game, but we will never get the money because we don't have the power." But he admitted it on episode 341. Jack Posobiec, Human Events Daily.
If you want, you could post that up in the nest up above just so people can see it.
I'll try to find it. I told people about a year ago when it happened and nobody gave a crap.
You might as well put it up there just so people can watch it and see it, because it's important information for people to understand and read and say. What's up, Abe?
Hey, so I came late in the call. I think I got a grasp of what's going on here on the website you're sharing, and the information that website's actually offering, being essentially like a database of every trading material ever, pretty much.
Yeah.
One thing I'm finding odd, I searched AMC Entertainment, right? And if you go to the options, there's 14,000 some pages of options. But then if you type in Tesla Motors, there's nowhere near that many pages. Like, you would think Tesla would have more activity than AMC.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just interesting. I want to call that out.
It's very interesting. And as you go on and you start to peruse, you actually get to see, here's the option chains, here's the specific dates on when certain R ticker, just in his example, when it started to run up, and then here's the puts that started to bring this back down, so on and so forth. And if you correlate those with the dates of when we ran up, you'll see what they did. And it's really interesting. What's up, Webb? You're roboting real bad. You're still roboting really bad. What was your question? Try again. Webb, you want to try again? Nope. All right. I want to see if he pops back up and if there's anything else that he has, and then this way I can go ahead. What's up, bud? Go ahead. I got you.
Okay, bet. Do you guys remember the Archegos disclosures of the ETF and basket swaps? I have a theory that I don't know if you guys saw, the basket swaps didn't start occurring till November of 2020, and I have a strong hunch these swaps are 3 years instead of 2 years.
That'd be interesting. It should be coming to fruition here shortly.
Yeah. Remember GME in November. That's what DFE said. So he must have figured out something in November. So just curious.
Oh, it's Webb. I was like, it's a familiar voice. What's
What up,
brother?
ASBT? Just got back from the driving
So
range. What about you?
I mean, technically, when you look at those ETF swaps, it's interesting because not only are they basket swaps, but they're also tied directly on the S&P. Directly. Like the eighth leg on those counterparty agreements was the fucking S&P shares. That's an interesting rabbit hole. The Archegos leak was telling us hell and that, but technically it's going to be a 2, 3, or 5 year. So that's yeah, I am in agreement with your thinking. Is I think the right way to answer it. I don't say dates because we don't know dates, and we don't know if there's any swaps that are carrying that, like the treasuries. Can the treasury sustain those until margin comes for a certain amount of time? Like there's too many unknowns to actually predict real dates on that, you know.
And
The fact that
also, I know
BlackRock
this can be
and that was
true.
very telling.
Archegos' positions are dwarfed by like Susquehanna or Point 72. So we know. I think we know that for a fact.
interesting. Well, I mean, if that's the case, then you should be coming up on a due date then, realistically.
I like to inject pure uncut Peruvian hopium every day. So, I've been like the Moaz is tomorrow person for the past 3 years, but that's just me.
That's not good for your emotions, friends. Stop it. Stop
I
it.
know. I've chilled out now, but I used to be pretty bad.
Oddly, I mean, there's a difference, and this is going to be a nerd moment, but this is technical definitions. Okay. Difference of a value play, a deep value play, and then DFV's deeper fucking value play technically is just how far down in the economics you have to go to understand the time frames for the play to play out. And so when we talk about swaps, these are deeper in their value. A lot of this is as deep as it gets, really, because you're going straight from one direct on paper thing to one other thing, and the moment it goes bad, margin. Like there's generally no usual ability to carry these because they're contractual in a certain form. Bonds too, they hit on maturity, so when maturity hits, buy, bro. You know, but
Yeah. The
these
longer this goes on, man, I'll be able to accumulate 30% more shares in my DRS portfolio.
I know that I've seen BlackRock put out a paper at one point about a financial system coming together in 2025. So that would make a 5-year swap make sense. That was in a 2020 report that they put out. I think BCG put one out too in the same base.
Should be interesting. Should be interesting in every sense of the word.
But if you want to know financial ripples of things that'll probably hit the economics of your stock's undertow like ahead of time, see who owns your corporate bonds. And then try to figure out their exposure to other toxic things to see the owners of the bonds, as they default, should be trying to turn these in on any basis or trade them out. But you should see some kind of an occurrence happen when this all goes. Where
Aren't
it's like,
GameStop bonds paid off?
well, I mean, in general, corporate bonds across the market are affected. That's what I say. Most companies are still involved with the corporate bond market. They got, it's still the system's up. They're tied in contractual things.
Are
But
these the same as debt covenant bonds?
well, there's different kinds of bonds. The corporate bonds are essentially private share offerings for a certain for the underlying asset or redeemable for the price.
Okay.
But if those bonds exist, that opens the door for CFDs and forwards and manipulated futures. All the things that we look at shorting does, like all that fucked up rehypothecation shit, that's doable on other things. That's not just tied to shorts. They can rehypothecate futures. This is all these dynamics. If somebody doesn't explain that, then people's thinking is
Flawed.
coned into just the short interest, and it's so more parlaying than Short interest is what's just one dynamic, and technically, considering that you can shuffle shorts back and forth through the dark pools so that recorded amounts are different, it's a little questionable about how many rehypothecated shares still exist in a dark pool that we can't see into because all the operators are anonymous. Just like they all are on tour. They can't even tell who each other is. They don't know who's buying and selling what. That was
Not
set.
only that, it's the like the swaps that are, when that obligation comes through, like we it's a black hole. We don't know how many tens of floats they have to buy back if they can't roll those swaps.
I don't know who's going to be holding on to that fucking hot potato.
On Reddit at one point, I was sharing 424B filings, which are pretty much CDOs on corporate bonds, but nobody understood what I was showing because they didn't play the game I put forth, which is okay. Half people didn't see me. But the concept there is if you know what collateralized debt obligation offering your stock is in, then yeah, essentially you can see who buys and sells that CDO and then figure out a little piece of the puzzle. That goes into, hey, who's got a Bloomberg? Like you need access to things to get to there.
Yeah, that
The
Bloomberg terminal is kind of
the
it's worth
SEC
something when you got it.
filings, they list the full filings that they receive every day on their site. The 424B filings are bonds. And I had went through Citigroups because I know Citigroup is involved in multiple economic happenstances like Enron and shit. So I've always kind of watched them through time. And to watch their bond offerings, I didn't understand why they were putting out why they were putting these out. And I couldn't get anybody to help me learn it because it's beyond what everyone knows.
No one doesn't have the knowledge base like you ask ASBT or cares to go in that deep. So I get it. Also, is there a lot of the hold both crowd in here, or are you guys mostly hold AMC?
Mostly AMC.
I didn't ask because it
Gotcha.
doesn't matter, friend. That's none of my business.
Well, I'll be honest, I've been in both. So I've actually had GME since November of 2020. So
Hell yeah.
I think when
but
most people know how to find what they're looking for in the fundamentals, it allows them to pick whatever the fuck they like. And who cares what people buy as long as it's
I'm
like
not telling them what to buy. I'm asking.
no, you know what I
There's-
mean. Like,
let
yeah.
me kind of reiterate something for both you guys because I I kind of want people to understand that this space is not. I mean, yeah, many of us here probably are specific AMC, but keep in mind that I mean, heck, I'll say it this way. I was in GameStop November 2020, but there's other retail investors that are supporting good companies. And that's the thing. I think what we have to focus on is giving the knowledge for all retail investors because every retail investor heavy company that's invested in heavy, retail like GameStop and AMC. Let's throw Bed Bath and Beyond as an example. There's Ocugen, there's Zomedica, there's Sundial. People love those. All of us are fighting the same type of battle, and this information, the things that's been shared in this space today or other spaces, don't have to be about one ticker, even though it might be that ticker's talked about. But when it comes to the stock market specifically, it really boils down to it's retail against those who are trying to fuck with their money. So WB, I understand your point, and I just want to reiterate this information is for everybody to learn and grow. That's what our goal is. I know James, I know
Yeah.
many other people who host spaces like the one. It's about sharing knowledge and growing our impact on fighting a good fight. So I just kind of want to make sure that people are aware that's our point here. But yeah, there's many AMC. I can vouch for half the people in this room that actually own either GameStop or Tesla or other major stocks. So it's for everybody, though.
Which leads me to my final statement because I'm going to have to run to the grocery store to feed my kid. the only reason that I do any of this stuff is for knowledge. The only reason that I spend my time with going ahead and showing people anything is for the community to grow. I want everybody to be learned investors because I believe that if you understand all of it, you're only going to be better when it comes to investing. It's the same thing with everything that you guys do in life. The more you know, the better off you're going to be. Knowledge is power. I want everybody in every community that it doesn't matter that you're GME, or AMC, or Tesla. It doesn't matter. As long as you guys are growing as individuals, you will only be better. You will only be better, no matter how you look at it, no matter how you are. You know, in my line of work with mortgages, I make sure that I go over every little detail with people because you know what? If you understand what you're signing, that means you understand what you're doing. That means you understand who you're going to be paying when it comes to a mortgage and how your life is tied into that piece of paper. I want to make sure that you guys understand everything that's going around because I do believe that it's not just one thing that's going to happen. It's going to be a plethora of things that are going to happen all around you. The world as you know it is not what it's going to be when any of this happens. It's all going to come down. You're watching it from a day in, day out basis. Look at your stores that you guys are used to go to that aren't there in strip malls, or they're not there at your department stores anymore. Or, you know, hey, that building used to be there and now it's burnt to the ground. Or what happened to this? Or what happened to that favorite restaurant? They're not there. Why? Because they can't afford what they're doing. It takes all of us as a collective group to understand the ramifications of what is about to incur. Because once that does happen, geez, the world you know is not going to be the world you know anymore. And it's going to be a completely different lifestyle. Keep on learning, keep on growing, keep on being better. And it will only make everybody better as a whole around you. And, you know, open up to other people, especially the people that you come in contact with in these communities and groups. Because some of the friendships that you'll forge with other people, make sure you go and visit them. Make sure you go ahead and make sure you want to talk to them after this is all said and done. Because that's what this community, that's what this family, this AMC family is all about. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, I was going to say. Phil.
What's good, guys? I just woke up from a nap. I'm sorry, I was out of it. How you guys doing? I just got here.
I'm doing good. We had a 2.5 hour space already.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. I was checking through James's post that he got here. Looks like we got JP Morgan in trouble. Interesting.
Well, try to present knowledge, my friend.
Hey, Phil, we did record it just in case you want to, listen in a little bit, bits and pieces. So if anybody missed the entirety, it's going to be accessible to listen to.
Very cool. I just wanted to say, to those who are watching certain individuals drop off on the play, don't feel bad. We need certain individuals to drop off the play anyways. Some of these individuals, they're purposely not trying to understand this play. So, don't get discouraged if you're knowing the information that's presented to you and you're like, well, damn, I thought this person was going to be smart and understand this play and be here with me. But remember, some of these individuals, they made decisions that's best for them. And so don't feel too bad if someone drops off and play and they're, not understanding everything. Me, I'm the guy that's gonna be crazy and stay. I'm the guy from the movie 2012 that's like, no, I'm gonna stay. That's me. All right. So we're gonna figure this out, people. That's all I know.
Go ahead, Rick.
What's up, everybody? But no, to Phil, not. It's not just that we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna watch this play out the way it should because I just got done playing 18, 18 holes or whatever, and I was trying to explain to my friends like what's actually happening, the money that I've invested, what I believe in, and they kind of just listen to me and just like, okay, well, it is what it is, and I'm just like, are you guys that just complacent with everything? I'm not gonna say ignorant. Maybe it's some sort of ignorancy or whatever, but complacent with just to accept the status quo of what is presented to you. And like, how do you just I don't know. I to me things didn't make sense a long time ago, a long fucking time ago. But ever since I got into this play, I've started connecting the dots and all the DD that's presented to me and presented in the spaces. And I know a lot of you guys hold some great spaces, and I listen to a lot of you guys most of the time I'm at work. So I'm taking everything in. It's make it make sense for yourself. And to me, it makes sense. And what doesn't make sense is the numbers when it comes specifically to AMC. I mean, anything that's over 10% short interest is that's a high number, right? And you're seeing 28, 38%, and like, how does it make sense? The utilization was over 100% for over a year. How does it make sense? None of it makes sense. And it's just it's I'm beside myself trying to make I like, I don't know. I don't know. None of it makes sense. To me, it makes sense that I'm in the right position. I'm exactly where I need to be, and it's just crazy that nobody else bothers to take the time to actually look into it. And I've heard responses from family members where I try to explain to them, is like, well, what happens to your 401k? Oh, well, sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. What happens? And I'm like, but why? Nobody's ever taken the time to just stop and ask why. And to me, that just I'm beside myself when it comes to that. I just don't get it. Like, how are you not gonna know where your money's being invested into? It's crazy.
Well, I hope that listening today, now you can see the why and understanding that, because it's not made for you to understand. It's a game. It's all a game. It's all bullshit. It's all lies. Everything you watch from a day in, day out standpoint is all lies. Go ahead, Matt.
So I helped my wife find the episode. I think it's the one she's talking about. And after listening to it and finding, and re-listening to it, it's kind of it's a kind of read between the lines sort of disclosure where he talks about the power dynamics and he talks about the Main Street March on Wall Street. Now, if you take the timing of this episode into consideration, it was after the realization of XTX failure. Now, when you think about the Main Street versus Wall Street dynamic that he's referring to, that would have been, early 21, maybe even not even referring to the June run up. Because when you consider the GameStop run and the AMC and the multiple stocks or whatever, that they consider them, where Main Street beat Wall Street. But the thing that they don't ever say or don't ever come out with is that nothing's changed and we're all still here. Now they talk about the few that got, that took their money and ran, on that and beat Wall Street and walked out with a lot of money, and how they're now being pursued by the powers, for manipulation and stuff, and how Wall Street and the higher echelons are never held to that same accountability. But it starts at minute 8, and I don't know if there's a way or if you're even allowed to do like to play through YouTube on a space, but I'd be interested to hear other people's perspectives after they heard it. Oh, it's in the nest.
Go ahead, Fafa.
Well, I know that you got to kind of get ready to take off. It sounds like you got to go shopping. So I was going to just leave with this. We've learned that they're trying to hide their money. We learned one way that they're trying to do it through swaps and tokenization. Um, it's a grand scheme. I'm glad that someone actually reminded me. Should have said this, but they brought it up, so I'll give them the credit. They are now withdrawing the FTX tokens of GameStop and AMC. They're trying to hide it now. As of after we got the news on Friday, as of today, right now, it doesn't show on their ledger system. You know that they've been found out. And if this reverse split and conversion goes through, which we know it has been approved, and I get the whole GameStop. They did the actual stock split and the special dividend because being part of it, and they kind of screwed that, right? But here's the thing: this is a second company that they've had tokenized stocks on that is doing something of a corporate action, and now this is just going to put that much more pressure on them. So why are they hiding it? And so after this space is over, think to yourself, why would they try to hide all of the stuff they've been doing unless they know that they're underwater if things like GameStop and AMC are doing these things to improve their company? We know GameStop, I mean, I'll bring it up. We know GameStop is out of debt as far as the standardized debt. The only debt they have is the recurring employee payments and any purchases that they have, which they pay off pretty legitimately pretty quick, right? As far as the fundamentals I've seen on that. When it comes to AMC, they're in a point. Am I wrong, always? That should be correct, right?
I was going to say we got because of COVID, there's a 25 mil, I think, loan from the French government for one of their underling companies, Micromania. But technically, the thing that most people don't bring up that's important and kind of the only fundamental that I think most don't realize is that we cleared our corporate bond debt. So
Yeah.
as this corporate bubble happens, we're detached.
Yeah, and that's what AMC is in the process of doing with this conversion and reverse split.
That would make me so bullish, bro, because it
Yeah,
shows that the leadership board is in touch with what's going on and it's chess at this point, you know?
yeah, and that's why it's amazing how Adam Aaron's been connected with us in many different ways. He's been hearing our voice, and so I want you guys to think about the fact that when things like FTX or Coinbase or KuCoin are removing things like this, it's because they know they're behind the eight ball. And if they didn't do something like this, if they couldn't hide it, if they couldn't throw it in another swamp and get rid of that on their books, they're going to be liable, and they don't want to be. So who's going to be the first to break? So that confidence level for me, because of this community, because of the things that we're uncovering and revealing and sharing with people, they deserve the credit for finding it first. But honestly, it makes me that much happier to know that we are making a difference. There's little things that still need to be happen, as far as market structure is concerned. But when it comes to them trying to manipulate stocks or a good company that, has done the right things, it's coming to an end. Now it's just a matter of just standing where you feel comfortable and fighting. And every one of you guys that's been in this call or other space calls, things like the one host or whomever, you stand proud about yourself because you've learned a lot, you've grown, and hopefully we can add more and continue to grow and continue to share and encourage. And that's what I hope everybody takes away from this. And pretty much that's what I got to say.
I just hope that everybody learned. I really hope that everybody learned. I don't care about credit. I don't care about any of this. I really don't. I'm happy that I was able to share the information with everybody. I don't want the credit. I would rather that everybody else just learns from it. The more people learn, the better off everybody's going to be. The more that people are going to understand what you're fighting against and what you need to fight against. And it all comes back to our government, which is the worst thing that I could possibly say, considering that I served in our country. And this is not what I fought for in any which way, shape, or form. And it is sad to me that it has come to this. I just want everybody to know who they're up against, what they're fighting for, and, grow as individuals, grow as people, and help the less fortunate. When this does happen, and when you guys do get your money, we are the people that are going to have to make this country great again. And people in all assets of the world are going to struggle. It's going to be a shit show out there in every sense of the word. You are going to have millions of people jobless. You are going to have millions of people homeless. You're going to have people that don't have two pennies to rub together. But we have to be the voice of change. We have to be the people that make a difference in this world. And that's what, when you do get your money or when you have it, please make sure that you have a plan on what to do with it. Because most people, when they do come across money like this, like 87% of all lottery winners end up going broke the next year. And that's a crazy statistic to actually know and understand. Rick, go ahead.
You know what, James? First of all, thank you for serving the country. I mean, I know you said it on a few spaces, and it's unfortunate to know that you're right. I mean, I know this is not what you fought for. I know this is not the type of environment or the government that you wanted, that you were fighting for. I mean, because you know, if things keep going this way, we're gonna lose our First Amendment. We're gonna lose our Second Amendment. I mean, at this point, nobody's gonna be able to carry nothing, right? Whatever. But it's we have to understand that, and open everybody's eyes, that the government right now, the politicians that we have in office, and again, I might sound completely ass backwards, but the people that we appoint to govern this country are in it for the wrong reasons. They're not selfless. They're here for themselves, and it's very unfortunate, because I mean, here we elect them into these high ranking political positions, and they're to serve us, but and the reality is that you know, they're only there to serve themselves. I think I think my opinion only, when MOAS happens, and and again, my beliefs only, when it brings the financial system to their knees, which I think needs to happen, I think at that point everybody needs to reconsider, like, okay, who are we electing? What are we doing that's right? What are they doing what do they stand for? Because at this point, there's nobody sticking up for the 99%. And at this point, I mean, it's pretty prevalent. It's pretty obvious. And you know, I have had to start from the bottom more than once. And when the financial system crashes, and when we have to start from the bottom, I don't think it's the best starting point. I mean, you can't go down once you're at the bottom. You can only go up, but I think it takes a lot of people to make enough noise to make sure that, things are moving in the right direction. My opinion.
It's true.
Our communities have proven we're really good at going sideways too.
Yeah, sure are. Great at going sideways. Great at going, you kind of go up a little bit and then just come tumbling down to ground zero. There's never an up and away. The last time that I think we actually had a president that actually meant something, I'm gonna go Abraham Lincoln. At least he was honest, and that's why he got the nickname Honest Abe. I want somebody that's honest. I want somebody that's going to be blunt and tell us how it is. Tell us that, you know what, we're fucked. That's what I want. If I could get somebody that does that, God, would I be voting for him in an absolute heartbeat? Not even a question. Go ahead, Keith. Keith, you're roboting like no one's business.
Hopefully he can get back up. I was going to joke with you, but
Okay.
oh yeah,
Mike.
there you go.
Thanks a lot for holding the space, and thanks always. That was some excellent DD. Real quick, we always want change, right? And we've been asking for a person to pay. But we're looking for somebody that's not tied into the taking lobby money. And we actually had a dude come in this community that's named Albert Harshaw that's running for president, and he's looking for help. He's looking for people to actually vote for him, donate to him, and help him get to where he needs to be. And if he doesn't win, he's more than happy to be vice president with Donald Trump and try for president next year. But he is a military veteran and ex-firefighter. His wife, I think, was a teacher for 26 years. He sounded like a real down-to-earth dude, real nice guy. And maybe take a look at him. His webpage is on my pin to the top of my page, and that's all I got.
Thank you, Keith.
With that, go ahead, Fafa.
I was just going to say, dude, you need to go buy some food for your kids, man. I hear them calling out and yelling. They're like, Dad, we need pizza. Can't hear me or can't hear them.
I don't think James. I don't think Fafa can hear, or James. I don't think you can hear Fafa.
Yeah, I can't hear Fafa at all.
He said, "You better go buy some food for your kids." He hears them screaming in the background.
Yeah, I'm on my kids sitting here playing a video game right now, but I do have to feed him here shortly, but hold on. Fafa, go right ahead. I know you requested. I answered. Ta-da. Yep, I can hear you now. Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
I think people understand. You go shopping. I actually have to go shopping. But do me a favor, guys, and just be patient. Always, man, I appreciate the info that you handed us. Definitely would love to be able to see more of that on a thread, by the way. I know how many people will learn and grow from it, and there's so many people that would definitely support that. For those that are in GME, I'm proud of you guys. It's been tough, but you know what? You can't say that it hasn't been worth it. For those of us that have been in AMC as well, or just AMC alone, again, same thing. No one said that going through a battle was going to be easy, but we've made it this far. We've learned, we've grown, we've developed a mindset that Warren Buffett talks about, and that is that he likes to buy and hold. Now, everybody does what they do, right? But to me, when you learn to start growing as a trader, like someone who has been well known in the trading markets, then you must be doing something right. And I'm just going to say one last thing. Phil, I am waiting for your next video. You better be coming up with a good one because I am waiting.
Hey, man. I mean, usually when I do my little videos, it's really more so like on the whim type of thing. what I want to do, what I was kind of planning on doing, is we have to let this be organic as possible. Let me turn this fan off. Hold on a second. All right, so we gotta be as organic as possible with this. And and I just made a tweet basically, because I see there's people that were reporting on AMC, talking about AMC, Ape, and all of that, and they sold all their shares. They're like, I'm not doing this, I'm not going through that, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Okay, great. This is what we actually want. This is what I actually wanted. I've been wanted you guys to leave because in my state of mind, in my ape mind, if you will, you those guys were in the way, and you know it would be super fair if most of those people that have said they sold and they're talking about our play, it would do us a service if those guys could just go away and not talk about our ticker anymore.
Straight up.
Oh, what's up, Eric?
What up, Phil?
Oh man, I just got it. I mean, I had a leg spasm earlier, and I took a muscle relaxer, and I fell asleep. I just woke up from the shit, but yeah, like I just feel like it should be fair for those who sold their shares. They're telling everybody they sold. Great, good, you made the right decision for your family, but please, at this point, stop talking about our ticker. Stop mentioning XYZ about our ticker, even as new things progress. Right? I think we need to remember. I think we need to. I don't know. I'm probably gonna do some type of video. I was actually gonna do something comical too. Being that some of these guys are on literally showing their emotions. I think I'm gonna do a shield draft 2023. So, kind of like the NBA draft, but like we're kind of like drafting shills, if you will, like who's the number top 10 shills or some shit. Like I said, I want to make this as fun as possible because, of course, it's not fun. We're being attacked by sock puppets everywhere. We're being not only sock puppets, but media articles are being attacked on. Other individuals attacking us everywhere. So yeah, this isn't some easy thing, but I'm just here to say, I'm going to do my best to make this as fun as possible for everybody. That way we could hang on tight, hang on strong, and have a little chuckle here or there, or maybe jam a little tune or something like that. That way this could progress even easier. But yeah, I'm looking at some of James's posts here. Yeah, it's there, and that's why it's confusing why some of these individuals sold their shares, because I feel like they were just a tad bit too early, very early on trying to exit their positions, and even mentioning that they're going to come and buy back in. It's like, no, dude, you're literally like it's my thing is, I've held for two
They're literally
years.
not an ape.
Yeah, literally not an ape, right? And at some point, right, when this is all over and we all, have our, let's say ape party, ape concert or whatever, you know, it's going to come down to, hey, how long did you hold? And if you sold and folded, then I mean, I don't know. Like that was a day that you allowed them to win. That's how I see it. Like that's the day that you allowed them to win. I'm not letting them win. I'm sorry, but go ahead. I saw Rick and Bleach hands up.
No, I mean the one thing, and I'll drop down after this. But thank you, James, for letting me come up and speak.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing is, man, be patient, be resilient, believe in your convictions. Um, I'm not gonna throw this off of AMC, but I will say this: I am also an XRP holder, and I saw a nice run up, and it made me a financial or a good amount of money that I didn't sell because I believe in the possibilities. I believe in what what it could be. So stick to your convictions, man. Stick to your convictions. Understand that what you hold is more valuable than what everybody else is saying, than the institutions, than the powers above to be are saying, because they're full of shit. They don't want you to succeed in life. They don't want you to be financially free, because they need fucking people that are gonna service their fucking needs, dude. And fuck that. We need to stand up and say enough is a fucking enough, because we go to work every single fucking day. We invest our money in whatever you want to invest your money into companies, programs, whatever it is that you invest your money into, and have your convictions. If you believe in it, invest your money into it and stand beside it, because that's what I do. I had a big win with XRP, as far as the lawsuit was concerned, and I'm still holding. I haven't sold, just like I hold my AMC and my ape. So I mean, I'm just saying, be convicted, stand by your conviction, and just know that there's a ton of fucking people behind you that have the same conviction, man. And I mean, this is what it is, right? I mean, we invested our money into something that we believe in, something that we love, something that we believe is going to make a difference in the world. I do, at least. And just stand by it, man. Don't let anybody fucking fade your conviction. I mean, you stand by it, and just hold true to what you believe in, is what I'm saying. And I'll drop down after that. Sorry. Thank you, guys.
Go ahead, Bleach.
Now you guys go ahead, take your time. I'm talking to my father-in-law right now. Hold on. I appreciate you, James.
I saw Eric, and then I also saw Jim.
That's me. Oh, I don't have my hand up.
I just saw you popped up, my friend. That's all.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just waiting to. I'm just kind of listening. I wanted to say some things later, but I'm kind of serving up my own plate right now. So I just, yeah, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine, dude. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, here I am. Here we are.
Jim.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes,
sure
sir.
Can.
I was just saying, hey.
Oh, hey, family, friends. Guess what? Shit's gonna happen. And me personally, I can't even hardly stand still with the excitement Monday morning. It's either gonna go bing or bang. And when it goes bing, our Monday morning is just going to be where we've always dreamed it should be, with the ape conversion. So, I'm really proud of the ape, APE, AMC preferred equity, and the APE, all people equal. It's quite amazing, quite an amazing story to date. And shit's getting hot, getting heavy. Happy to be here. Can't imagine a better place, because we make movies better, and it feels good in a place like this. Absolutely. Here we go. What do we got? Saturday night. Tomorrow all day.
Good work, Jim.
Damn. I just want Monday. Bring me Monday, and put it on my plate right now. I'm ready to fight like the rest of the warriors in this room for what we know is to be right. And I can't wait to stop the corruption. It's so bad. Go ahead.
Eric, have you got anything, or I'll leave it to
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. He had cut out, and I thought he was done, and I can go down as listener. Sorry.
No, you're good, buddy. No, I just wanted to see if you had anything else to say. Bleach, are you still talking to father-in-law?
What was that, James?
You still talking to your father-in-law?
You know, honestly, I just wanted to tell my man always. You see, my brother D Sauce is down there, in the crowd, right? I think that you in his space that he be at nighttime. I'll be going in there just to listen. I love being, a fly on the wall, learning. And I think that you fit right in that crowd because like they are very open people to a lot of the things that you have to say. You probably find a home over there. I promise you, not even a home I want to say, but just people that can understand your perspective and they can help you break it down to an extent that you might not believe. I mean, there are things that I listen in there that are crazy, just like I learned from James, from everybody. And it's actually kind of like what I want to tell you. And Phil, I love that video, man. You gave me the Shinigami vibes. I love it. It was amazing. That whole voice that you did. Like it reminded me of that, man. I loved it.
Which video did I do? Was it something I just recorded today, or?
Nah, the one with the mask, and you were talking like, yeah, my name is Algo Hands. I love that. I loved it.
Oh yeah.
It was the
Like,
Shinigami.
yeah, I mean, remember they're psychologically messing with us. I feel like we have to psychologically mess with them, and it's obvious that they're bothered by us being unbothered, right? So I've gotten to that point in my mind where I'm like, I gotta, this is a big battle where this is, you gotta up the ante a little bit, right? We're not only learning, but we're also, having to fight at the same time. We gotta fight, learn how to hit them right and learn how to hit them where it hurts, and you know, uh, and just keep that conviction, and keep it and steadfast, right? You may not know when it hits, but for sure that, there's going to be some type of changes. And that's why, hey, give us Monday. Just like Jim said, give me Monday.
I want to thank everybody that came into the call. I want to thank everybody, especially always thank you for coming up and actually talking your knowledge and wisdom in regards to the swaps and how, that truly can make a difference in everything. I want to thank everybody for actually listening to my stuff in regards to these Fiji accounts, where they're hiding this dirty money and what they're, it sickens me. Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I'm going to eat dinner here. I see you're winding it down. Yeah, Phil, get at me, man. I might have a bunch of content you might be very interested in as far as recordings go. And yeah, man.
I DM you.
Yep.
Wait, what? Is Eric talking?
He just did. He was just saying DM Phil.
I'll tell Dominican I said hi.
Yep.
All right, guys.
So besides that, I want to thank everybody for coming in. I hope you guys learned something. Like I said, be the people. Don't be a follower. Be a leader in everything that you guys do. Have a voice. Having a voice is the most important thing that you could possibly have. And whenever they're telling you to do something, do the opposite, because that's not what we're not sheep. We're all leaders to a certain extent, and it's just a matter of you having a voice. Come out and speak. Come out and talk. Tell everybody what you found. Tell everybody what you need. They need to know, because it's only going to make everybody as people, as a community, as a family better in anything that you do. If you guys have any questions or anything that you need from me, my DMs are always open. I have no problem with answering any questions that you guys may have. I look forward to the next space, and guys, have a wonderful weekend, and I can't wait for Monday. You guys have a wonderful evening.